appreciate it. And I can tell you who really appreciates it, Poland, because they're very happy with their president. And I just want to say it's an honor to have you. We'll be discussing trade and various other things, and things that you discuss. We'll have a few questions from you, and then we'll get on to a discussion, then we'll have lunch, and then he goes and he meets with the Pope. And that'll be very exciting. And say hello to the Pope for me.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much,
Mr. President, thank you very much, and I would like to express my gratitude for your invitation. Only after 1 month from my sworn and from celebration for my inauguration, it means that Polish-American relations are very important, very strong.
Yeah, show the hand signs.
I think that we have so strong relations that we have never had. And it's very important for me. Our relations are based, of course, on the values. Right? Thank you very much for your support, for your endorsement during my very hard campaign. I remember it, and I'm very grateful for your support. It was the fight me against others, so your support was very important. And the support of Polish people, Polish diaspora in the United States of America. We have almost more than 10 million people here, and they voted for Donald Trump.
They voted for me.
Yeah, and in vast majority they voted also for me, so I would like to say hello to Polish diaspora in United States of America. Those relations for me, for Poland, for Poles are very important with United States of America, and they are based on values: independence, sovereignty, democracy. And I think, Mr. President, that those values are epitomized by our current heroes.
Yes.
Kazimierz Puławski and Tadeusz Kościuszko. So thank you very much, and I hope it will be very fruitful discussion around the energy, around the economy and military service.
And the flyover was very much in honor of your great pilot who just passed away recently, who was a legend in Poland. You might want to say something about him.
Yes, of course, it was a terrific accident in Poland. Thank you for this gesture that F-35 opened our meeting. Major Krakowian was one of the best Polish pilots, well-honed Polish pilots, and he died. He lost 2 children, so it was a great tragedy.
He was a legend in Poland, actually, a legend as a pilot. He was an incredible pilot. And I think he went to the Air Force Academy, actually. But he was a fantastic pilot, and it was a big setback. The people of Poland are very, very sad, so we thought we'd do that. That was the single plane that swooped out.
And machines, American machines, opened our meeting. It was great, and we are waiting for 32 F-35s in Poland. So it also shows that we have great relations according to the best military equipment on the world, American equipment, which build Polish security too.
Well, Poland, we've had a tremendous relationship. I think now it's better than ever because of this relationship. It's a little special because we fought together. But we've always been very good, and we have some wonderful people, as you know. Duda, my friend, he's a good man, and still a big fan of yours, very much so. So it's a great honor, and we're going to talk about trade. We'll talk about some other things. We'll take a couple of questions from the media.
Will American soldiers remain in Poland? Will American soldiers remain in Poland?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know something I don't? I don't know. Yeah, we're very happy. If anything, we'll put more there if they want. But they've long wanted to have a larger presence. We have some countries that have...
Hit that like button.
But no, they'll be staying in Poland. We're very much aligned with Poland.
We saw a dramatic picture where we saw the leaders of Russia and North Korea and China together. The first time the leaders of those 3 countries have been together in this sort of show of solidarity. You said that they're conspiring against the United States. What do you think they're conspiring to do? And given this, is it reason why you should slap or would consider slapping secondary sanctions on Russia if they're conspiring against the U.S. now?
Well, I've already done that with regard to India, and we're doing it with regard to other things. And I put out a truth last night. You saw that.
Hit that like button.
The one that brought it up. I said
Another day, yep.
They're only doing this. They're looking to when they did what they did, I thought it was a beautiful ceremony. I thought it was very, very impressive. But I understood the reason they were doing it, and they were hoping I was watching, and I was watching. My relationship with all of them is very good. We're going to find out how good it is over the next week or two. I think that we helped China very much, as you know, when they talk about freedom. And I don't believe that, and maybe I'm wrong, I hope I'm wrong, but I don't believe that America, that the United States was acknowledged for helping China to gain its freedom. But perhaps that was just that was a sleight of hand. I mean, I was very surprised. I watched the speech last night. President Xi's a friend of mine, but I thought that the United States should have been mentioned last night during that speech because we helped China very, very much.
It's all egos. That's all we doing. It's all a battle of egos. Everybody want that ego. Big us up. Say that we're the best. Say we're great. It's all ego.
Really? Wait a minute. Who are you with?
I'm a Polish leader.
Okay. How do you know there's no action? Would you say that putting secondary sanctions on India, the largest purchaser outside of China, they're almost equal. Would you say there was no action? That cost hundreds of billions of dollars to Russia. You call that no action? And I haven't done phase 2 yet, or phase 3.
Y'all hit that like button.
When you say there's no action, I
Double
know
tap
you
your
did yourself a
screen.
new job, because if you remember, 2 weeks ago I said, if India buys, India's got big problems, and that's what happened. So don't tell me about that.
What is your message to Putin?
Right now, there have been survivors of Jeffrey Epstein speaking at a press conference on Capitol Hill. They're calling for these.
It's plain and simple, not pure and simple.
Thomas Massey.
It's plain and simple, not pure and simple. That's an improper sentence right there. When you say Trump is the GOAT, pure and simple, you mean plain and simple, right? You can't use pure in that sentence because it's an improper sentence. It don't belong there. Purity and him being a GOAT, pure and simple, those things don't go together, right? You gotta look up the definition of pure, right? So what you meant to say was Trump is the GOAT, plain and simple, okay? Plain and simple, point blank, period. That's what you meant to say. Trump is the GOAT, point blank, period. That's what you meant to say. But you said pure and simple. That's an improper sentence, all right? So y'all make sure y'all get that like up. Make sure y'all hit the like button. You know, you got to say the stuff in the comment section that makes sense. Say the stuff that makes sense. If you going to say some shit, make it make sense. Just make it make sense. Don't put half-ass sentences in there. I'm going to point them out. You know what I'm saying? Don't put cockamamie sentences in the comments because I'm going to point them out. All right? So, okay, somebody said Trump's a crook. All right? Somebody said fact. Somebody said that's good. Yeah, you can say what you want to say. Try to stay respectable. You know, you might have some Democrats in here. You might have some Republicans in here. You know? Bro got a bigger shoulder pads than Kamala. Hey, you think he got shoulder pads in there? He do look like he got some shoulder pads. Not this one, this one. Like Trump and this dude both look like they got shoulder pads on. Right? Trump definitely got shoulder pads. His shoulders do not sit that high. If he ain't had no shoulder pads in there, I bet you that thing will drop down from his neck. This one got shoulder pads too. You could tell. You could see the pads in their shoulders. My grandma used to wear dresses like that to church with the shoulder pads in them. What you say, this NFL draft day? Trump edition? Hey, one's in the chat if y'all think that Trump turned the Oval Office into Apprentice. I think Trump is running the country kind of like he did that Apprentice show. You know what I mean? Like this is basically The Apprentice. He's got the governor of Chicago. He's sitting there throwing, remarks at the governor of Chicago. He's sitting there praising, basically Putin, and he's praising Kim Jong-un. You know what I'm saying? So like this is The Apprentice. This is the circus. Now, I'm for the peace part. You know what I'm saying? For the peace part. And let's be honest, the reason why he moved our space center to Colorado is because that's where the SpaceX program is at. So in a couple more months, he's going to be announcing that he's working with Elon Musk to secure our space program, right? So in a couple of months, he's going to acknowledge that he's working with Elon Musk, right? This is all bullshit. Elon Musk paid for the fucking campaign, paid the most money out for the campaign, basically helped Donald Trump get elected, right? And now we're watching all the things that they're putting in place. As these years come, we're watching the things that they're putting in place. Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the page. If y'all ain't subscribed to the page yet, you're lost. You sound goofy. Hey, listen, as long as I'm able to make a sound, right? They say opinions is like assholes, and I'm pretty sure we all got them. So what's the difference between my opinion and your opinion? Sometimes your opinion don't have to be spot on. You don't have to be accurate with an opinion. It's your opinion, right? Y'all got to stop being afraid to speak y'all opinion. It's just my thoughts. That's all it is. Don't be afraid of my thoughts. I'm not afraid of yours. You know what I'm saying? I ain't afraid of your thoughts. Don't be afraid of my thoughts. You sharing your thoughts in the comment section, but every time I speak, I'm asinine. Come on. Make up your mind. You can't be the only one that got an opinion that's accurate. Oh, your opinion is the only one that counts. You know what I'm saying? All you got to do is be mindful and realize that we're all entitled to our own thoughts. That's all. I open up my page to share my thoughts with y'all. That's it. You sharing your thoughts in the comment section. So why every time I share my thoughts, I'm dumb, I'm stupid, I'm this, I'm that? Like, come on. To me, some of your thoughts sound dumb. You're not following the money. Y'all not looking at the way this whole thing is going. This whole time, all they talked about was the trillions of dollars we never seen none of the trillions of dollars. Our roads in America is not fixed up. Our children are still being snatched up. You got $350 billion NATO deal, but our kids ain't seeing none of that. We not seeing none of that. You saying that you starting to sell our defenses for whatever, but we not seeing none of this. And now it's in court that the tariff is against the law. So therefore, the trillions of dollars that we just got from tariff, it could possibly be, lost. It could be lost money. You know what I'm saying? Because once they deem that is illegal, then what's going to happen to them trillions of dollars? What's going to happen to all them deals that Donald Trump closed? Huh? These are trader deals. This is supposed to get us out of trader debt. The tariffs. He's using tariffs as a way to bully the world. But y'all don't want to see that. Y'all don't want to see that he's using tariff as a way to bully the world. To say that, oh, if India works with Russia, we're going to put 200% tariff on them. If somebody else work with one of our enemies, we're going to just put tariffs on them. That's undermining the democracy of our country. That's why no other party did it. Because it goes against our Constitution. You can't say that we're the land of the free and then turn around and do a bunch of crazy shit. A lot of people talk out of their ass. A lot of people talk out of their ass and fart out of their mouth. Because the shit they say ain't shit. So it's a lot of people in the world that's talking out of their ass. Y'all put a 1 in the chat if you agree. There's a lot of people talking out of their ass. Shit. The whole political party's talking out of their ass. They sitting here telling you that they all want peace, yet they won't sit down and sign nothing for peace. 72 countries can sit down and decide that none of us should be allowed past the ice wall, but 72 countries can't sit down and come up with a Paris agreement for the damn pollution that's in the air. 72 countries can't sit down and come up with a peace agreement. but they can all come up with an agreement to say we shouldn't go past a certain point. They can all sign that paper. 72 countries can say, oh, nobody should be allowed past the Arctic Circle, but they can't come up with an agreement to peace. Putin say if he can't get more land and more resources, he don't want peace, right? The Epstein victims are going crazy right now. They out there doing interviews and shit. Now you know that's bad. When all the victims start out, say fuck that. We doing our own investigation. The victims of Epstein is demanding we get to pick who talks about this shit. They trying to pick who talks about the Epstein shit to save face, right? The Epstein's victim said, you know what? Let us pick what get released to the public. Let the victims pick what get released to the public. You going around and letting Donald Trump investigators pick. Nah, the victims is saying, let us pick, right? Now, for everything that we know, the world is one big stage. And Donald Trump is doing everything in his best ability to cover up any bullshit on him, right? So all these millions and billions of dollars, you know he's using some of that shit to clean up this shit, right? That $500 million lawsuit just got dropped on him. They dropped that lawsuit, right? Remember, Donald Trump was facing 99 lawsuits. Remember, Donald Trump had a non-profit organization that he used the money from to buy a big-ass picture of himself. Now, for the peace part, I'm with the peace part. If Donald Trump is aiming towards peace, then fuck it. We rocking with that. Over here at the Atlas family, at the Atlas Network, we rocking with anybody that's in the direction of peace. If you aiming for peace, we rocking with you. If you want peace, we rocking with you. Y'all put a 1 in the comment section if y'all want peace. We done seen everything else but peace. We done seen 99 different forms of division, and we ain't see one form of unity. I'm tired of seeing all these fucked up forms of division, and can't nobody tell us how to unify. So until somebody tell us how to unify, anybody that's striving for peace, we rocking with. Anybody that's striving for peace, we rocking with. Because y'all can't tell us what the fuck is the point of dividing. What is the point of having whites only bathrooms? What is the point of having colors only water fountains? There's no fucking point. COVID gonna get us all the same. We got an unknown fucking enemy. It's a germ. This shit floating around in the air. We can't even see it. That's probably why we so mad at each other. It's because we fighting some shit we can't even see. And yet hate each other who we see every day. How the fuck you fighting some shit you can't see and mad at each other who you see every day? How you love something that you can't see, yet hate people that you see every day? I think the Bible speaks about this. Every religion talks about being a peaceful religion or a religion of peace. Right? That's what it is. We love fighting. People don't want to admit that we love fighting. This is a gladiator school. The earth is one big coliseum. All y'all down here doing is fighting, and y'all love it. Y'all will tell me that I got a right to hate before y'all tell me I got a right to love. Y'all will teach me how to hate before y'all teach me how to love. That's the shit that we do down here to each other. We will teach each other how to hate before we have 1 ounce of love. And then everybody goes by a quid pro quo method down here. You got to do something for somebody for them to do something for you. One hand wash the other, both wash the face. Quid pro quo. That's it. What happened to the barter system that we had? What happened to trading? What happened to that? The islands still go by that, and they flourishing right now, right? And in Puerto Rico, there's fruit trees all over the place. Nobody's hungry in Puerto Rico. And in other countries, they don't even have to pay for their education. Why we pay for so much education in America and still dumb as hell? Huh? How we pay for college and all of this shit and still dumb as hell? I'm gonna explain to y'all how dumb we are. We so dumb, we don't even realize that if we did play the lottery and won $1.3 billion, you're only getting $300 million. And that's before taxes. They're still going to tax that $300 million. So not only are you losing out on 9.9 million just coming up missing, but you're still going to get taxed for the 300 million that you end up winning, right? But on paper, how much did it say you won? On paper, it say you won 1.3 billion. Your bank account only show 250 million. Where'd the rest of that money go? Nobody knows. Nobody cares, because the excitement of winning cast over everything. The feelings and emotions that come cast over everything. My numbers are not off. Look it up. All you got to do is look it up. You got technology at the palm of your hand. Look up how much money you would win if you won the $1.3 billion. You'll win 300 something million. Look it up. And you see the hand signs, right? You see Trump and the other dude both showing the same hand sign. I bet you. If somebody look it up in the comment section and it says that you're going to win $300 million, everybody owe me a sub to the page. If y'all look it up and y'all see out of 1.3 billion, you only going to win 300 something million, you owe me a sub. You got to subscribe to the page. You're going to get 5. If you take the large lump sum, you're going to get 3 something. If you take the payouts, you're going to get 5 something. Look it up. If you take the large lump sum, you're going to get 548. And if you take the large lump sum, you're going to get 3 something. If you take the payments, you're going to get 548. If you look at the rest of the people that's holding their hands, you see this guy, he's holding, both of them are holding their hands like that. But if you look at the other hands, you see his hands, you see his hands on his lap, you see her hands in a clapping form, like you see out in the open to show these hand signs. Easily they can sit back in the chair. Easily they can put their hands on their lap. Easily they can fold their arms across their hand. You know what I mean? But these were like, you got to look at it back in the day. These are the thinking. You know, they got like Aristotle. They got him sitting in the thinking man position with his hand, cupped up under his chin. You know what I mean? Like, these are symbols. Like the thinking man sitting there with his fists balled up under his chin. That's a thinking man position. These are signs and symbols. If you don't want to believe me, you can go get the book called Pale White Horse, Behold the Pale White Horse. Y'all make sure y'all sub to the page and tap the screen and get the likes up. And also hit that arrow button at the bottom and just copy the link. When you copy the link, it counts as a share. So I know it's early and you might not have nobody to share it with, but copy the link and, it counts as a share. So if you want to help me out, hit the like button. And listen, even if you hit the dislike button, at least you're giving YouTube the engagement, right? So hit the like button or hit the dislike button. It doesn't matter as long as you're engaging with YouTube. And I don't care if 1,000 of people, y'all dislike it, as long as y'all are giving that interaction. to YouTube. This guy is more on track than the other black dude in the suit. Hey, listen, hey, listen, follow the money. If we want to know truth, we got to follow the money. All right.
You're implicated in these files, but many of your friends and donors may be, and he says that's why the Justice Department is redacted.
Hey, I ain't gonna lie. For a second, I thought that dude had cornrows. I ain't even gonna lie. I thought that dude had cornrows for a second. Don't it look like he got cornrows? I thought he had cornrows. I was about to say, is his hair braided? Don't he look like his hair braided? I thought his hair was braided. I was about to say, okay. Okay, and snuck a black hairstyle into the Oval Office. I thought we was in there for a second. I said, damn, we got a black hairstyle in the Oval Office. Y'all tap the screen, black hairstyle in the Oval Office. I thought we was in there like swimwear. Damn, for a second there, I thought we was in there.
Slow walking the release apart. Is the Justice Department protecting any friends or donors, sir?
So this is a Democrat hoax that never ends. You know, it reminds me a little of the Kennedy situation. We gave him everything over and over again, more and more and more, and nobody's ever satisfied. From what I understand, I could check, but from what I understand, thousands of pages of documents have.
California looking bad right now, right?
Democrat hoax, because they're trying to get people to talk about something that's totally irrelevant to the success that we've had as a nation since I've been president. Even if you look at D.C. right now, D.C., it's a totally safe zone. It's called a safe zone. That's a term. It's a term of art. It's a safe zone because it's very safe. You can walk down the street now and nothing's going to happen.
Hey, y'all might not have seen the new layout for America, but they got like 12 districts now, or 13 districts. Like, so literally, America is now looking more so like the Hunger Games. Like, if you go back and watch the Hunger Games and they got like District 12 and District 9 and all of that shit, like, America is now broken down into district. But look at the new layout for America, and you know, down in districts, and you'll be like, damn, this is similar to the Hunger Games. You know what I mean?
No crime, no murders, no nothing, because we had a lot of problem with certain places, and we still do. All run by Democrats.
Old Rome, right?
Run by Democrats. So what they're trying to do.
Yeah, it was planned decades ago.
Get people to talk about that instead of speaking about the tremendous success, like ending 7 wars. I ended 7 wars. Nobody's going to talk about this. They're going to talk about the Epstein, whatever. I understand that we were subpoenaed to give files, and I understand we've given thousands.
Thank you, Trina. I was about to click on that name myself and get them the hell up out of here. I don't know what the hell is they putting.
And I think it's enough, because I think we should talk about the greatness of our country and the success that we're having. I think we're probably having, according to what I read, even from 2 people in this room, we're having the most successful 8 months of any president ever. And that's what I want to talk about. That's what we should be talking about, not the Epstein hoax.
If we are to look at these last 8 months, right? And if we are to look at it honestly, right? Then we have to say that we have not seen anything that Trump put in place yet. Everything that's taking place in America, they always say that what you see in the first year, sometimes in the second year, is what the previous administration put in effect, right? So when we see somebody new in office, 9 times out of 10, that first year that they're in office, it's them cleaning up or going through the shit that the previous president put in effect, right? So these 8 months, the things that he is taking the credit for is not necessarily his credit, if that makes sense. So like when you look at it, it's actually, you know, what the previous administration put in place, right? And now you can see like all the things that he's taking out, right? He's taking out Planned Parenthood. He's taking out, food stamps, Medicaid, they're changing it up. You can't buy sweets and stuff with food stamps anymore, right? They're taking out the banking system. You don't know it yet because it really didn't hit, but they're taking out the banking system, right? That's why you notice that sometime in 2020 or 2023, right? All of our banks opted out of Visa and started using MasterCard. MasterCard is nationwide, like worldwide or whatever, right? Visa was only in America, right? So by them changing that, it's telling you that your currency is about to change, right? And now what they're going to start doing is it's basically they want all your cash, right? They want all your cash. This is why he took out the cash-free bond or whatever. So that way you got to give me your cash, right? Because they want all that cash back. All the paper money they want back because we're moving to a digital currency system. You don't see it, but we are moving to a digital currency system. You look at it and you see everything that's taking place, and there's going to be a digital currency system in place. And through that digital currency system, there's levels of control. Think about it. If you don't comply, all they have to do is stop your card, stop your money access, right? Until you fall in line, right? So these are different measures that they're putting in place right now in order to control population. You have to open your eyes to it, right? Trump selling our defense systems. Now he's changing the Department of Defense to the Department of War. Why would you be pushing peace but changing our Department of Defense to the Department of War? You got to make that make sense. So these are things that don't go together. You're selling Scud missiles. The only thing you ain't sell is what? Our stealth bomber. He probably sold that. And remember, a lot of these countries, they'll buy one product, break it down, figure it all out, and then the next thing you know, they're manufacturing it themselves, like China. China gets the product, breaks it down, then the next thing you know, they got their own manufacturing of the same product, right? So we're letting our defenses seep into the hands of possible enemies, right? And here's the catch. If these are our defenses that he's selling, then all they got to do is analyze and learn the defense. And now they know our defense system. And with the space program, a lot of things is moving towards cyber. That's why they said the space program, and that's why they said that they have to protect the space. Whoever, controls the most space actually can, rule the world, top of the hill, king of the hill, whatever they were saying yesterday, right? We'll go back into that when they were saying that yesterday about why they moved the space program, right? So they're telling you that this race for space is still on, and everyone is trying to, figure out a way to control different areas of space. You know what I mean? You got to pay attention.
I have no message to President Putin. He knows where I stand, and he'll make a decision one way or the other. Whatever his decision is, we'll either be happy about it or unhappy. And if we're unhappy about it, you'll see things happen.
Venezuela, can you give us a sense of what the U.S. policy or what you're trying to achieve with the aircraft carriers, or the boats, I should say, in near Venezuela, and also the boat that you mentioned yesterday where 11 people were killed? What was found on that boat, and why were the men killed instead of taken in?
On the boat, you had massive amounts of drugs. We have tapes of them speaking. It was massive amounts of drugs coming into our country to kill a lot of people. And everybody fully understands that. In fact, you see it. You see the bags of drugs all over the boat. And they were hit. Obviously, they won't be doing it again. And I think a lot of other people won't be doing it again when they watch that tape. They're going to say, let's not do this. We have to protect our country, and we're going to. Venezuela's been a very bad actor. They've been, as you know, they've been sending millions of people into our country. Many of them Tren de Aragua, some of the worst gangs, some of the worst people anywhere in the world in terms of gangs. And we had some in Washington, D.C. We took care of them very quickly, but they're out of here. They're gone. but Venezuela's been very bad, both in terms of drugs and sending some of the worst criminals anywhere in the world.
Now, when it comes down to speaking on the UGs that is in America, right? The government is partly to blame, right? We have an overcrowded amount of methadone, Suboxone, and Subutex clinics, right? They have implemented this into the prison system where we now see our young kids coming in on Perk 30, so on and so forth, right? And they changed up the NA program. I don't know if a lot of you missed it, but they changed and rewrote NA. So now in the NA program, they took God out of the equation, right? So now where the 12 steps say that you relinquish power to the God as you know it, that's pretty much no longer there, right? Now, if you are on a certain drug, you are allowed to substitute that for another drug. So they changed up NA to fit the methadone, Suboxone, and Subutex clinics, right? Now, that's the same form as the synthetics and so on and so forth that we have here in America. So the government is saying as long as they can control this stuff, then it's one thing, but they don't like the outside entities coming in. That's why they never legalized marijuana. Look at what marijuana did for Denver. When Denver, opened up the sales for marijuana, their taxes went up dramatically. No one talked about that spike that took place that year, right? That changed, Colorado really. You know what I mean? Y'all can go look this stuff up. Y'all don't have to take my word for it. Look it up. These are just my thoughts, right? But look it up. And this is why it opened up the door for other states to start legalizing marijuana, right? This is why they started reclassifying it, right? We have an addictive society. Our society is of addiction. Why you think FanDuel, why you think all the, from LeBron James, Kevin Hart, all of them, why you think all they talk about is FanDuel, right? Why do you think, why you think they got that Kick? On Kick, you have to spend so much amount of time gambling because Kick started off as a gambling server, right? And, Aiden Ross and all of them turned it into streaming and everything like that. But all of these things, look at the world that we live in, right? Look at Bruno Mars. Bruno Mars is in debt so much with Las Vegas that all he can do is Las Vegas shows and play on the floor, right? Our society is an addictive society, right? And here's the thing about habits, right? We create our habits, and then our habits create our reality, right? So if you want to change your reality, you got to change your habits, right? And a lot of people are not going to change their habits. Why? Because we are creatures of habit, right? We're creatures of habit. That's why I say like old habits are hard to, stop, whatever the case may be, because you're a creature of habit. So now the person who actually controls your habit controls you. So if you're addicted to a drug, if you're addicted to a woman, if you're addicted to gambling, if you're addicted to whatever it is you're addicted to, if somebody gained control over that addiction, they control you, right?
Into our country. They emptied out, you don't know this, but they emptied out their prisons in Venezuela, and they emptied them out into the United States of America. And that's part of the problem we have. We're getting them out rapidly, but it's caused a tremendous problem. And Pete and all of the people that are working very hard to rectify.
Y'all make sure y'all subscribe to the page.
Allowing these people to pour into our country with open
Hey, listen, we're pushing for monetization at the end of this month. So this is the month that I want to see how many subscribers we get, you know what I mean? So that way when we push towards monetization, it looks that much better for YouTube to say, okay, we want to partner with you or whatever the case may be. So please subscribe to the page. If you don't want to subscribe to the page, I understand. You don't have to subscribe to the page, but please don't type nothing, asinine in the comment section. Like, you don't have to be smart about it. You don't have to say like, I know the internet is undefeated, so I know a lot of y'all don't hold yourself to a certain variation of respect, but I'm asking, in this space, can we just hold ourselves to a certain variation of respect. You know what I mean? And we can go disrespecting all those other spaces, right? They got numerous rooms where they tolerate disrespect. They like it in their comment section. But let's just create one space where we stay, you know, and hold ourselves to a higher decorum, you know, a higher level of servitude just to self, right? You owe it to yourself to have a respectable tongue. We came a long way. Too many of our ancestors have passed away. Too many of our bloodlines have passed away for us to still be talking to each other crazy, right? So let's hold each other accountable for our tongue and hold ourselves accountable for our tongue. So let's just create one respectable place, and then hopefully, I support anything that's of peace. If it's a notion or a way that we can get peace, I'm for anything that's of peace. Trump speaking of peace, I'm a rock with that until we find out otherwise. All right. This was just Trump sitting down with Poland. You know, Poland actually is on one of the borderlines to Russia. So remember when they asked him, like, what's going to happen with the relations with the Polands and so on and so forth, right? So this is Trump sitting down with the Poland president, whatever the case may be. Y'all know how it go. The world is one big stage, right? And since the world is one big stage, we might as well watch it from a distance. And this is the distance that we're watching it from. You know what I'm saying? This is where we're watching it from. So you guys make sure you subscribe to the page. Are you Republican? I'm neither. I'm not a Republican or a Democrat. The Democrats got a nasty thing that they're pushing that I never liked. It's been going on since the 90s. You know, if you go back to that Biggie video, you actually see, you know, somebody in the men's restroom standing up at the urinal. I never even peeped that shit back in the day. I was too young to realize what the world was coming to. Like, you know, so in 1993, when that Biggie video came out, nobody even was thinking like that, you know? So for them to be implementing this all the way back in the 90s, it only confirms what Ray J said, you know, asses are being taken. You know what I mean? Asses has been taken since the 90s. And now they have to tell us the truth. So now they use that P. Diddy scandal thing to tell us the truth. If you actually go back and listen to some of them interviews, they telling you that there's a way to your chakra system through your anus, right? And Diddy is using his semen to corrupt people's chakra system through their anus by putting his semen inside of them. And they're telling you that he's infusing his demonic spirit into them, right? They're telling you this through different forms of trauma and pain. He's infusing himself. This is old magic. This is before Egyptian magic, right? So, like, they're telling you the operation of the sea. They're telling you how, and women know this too, because that's why they tell you that when you take on a man's semen, you know, you take on what? Excess amount of his DNA, a certain percentage of his DNA, right? So don't act like chemically I'm telling a fucking lie. You know what I mean? If you look at the biological system and it matches up with the biblical text. Watch, break it down like this. If you go to a gynecologist will tell you that a man's sperm can stay up in a woman for up to 3 days. How long did Christ stay unalive for before he rose? It was 3 days. On the third day he rose, right? How long do a sperm stay inside of a woman? For 3 days. Okay. Match it up. Match it up. All you got to do is take the biological system and add it to a spiritual system. Yes, I got a daughter. My daughter's like 24. And then I got 3 boys. no real father would support this. Hey, Holy Ghost, at this point, I realize that you're just looking for anything. Like, you asked me about 4 questions. I answered those questions honestly. And now I see that you're just looking for anything personal that you can try to attack. You know, so you're looking to try to make a personal connection with me. So that way you can attack that personal connection, right? And that's asinine for you to do that, because why would you come in and try to learn somebody so you can attack that person? Okay, the channel don't recognize, don't recommend my channel then. You made it seem like your recommendation took somebody to the next level. You really made it seem like your recommendation was everything. No, the people that's coming in, that's interacting in the comment section, the people who's liking the screen, I mean, who's liking the live, the people who's sticking around to listen, that's the people who is contributing to the algorithm, not you. You're one individual.
We are paying a big price as a country for the incompetence of the Biden administration. But think of it, opened up prisons, drug dealers, drug lords, everything coming out of Venezuela. They said, and we said, we're not going to put up with it.
I clicked on the name already.
One of the worst actors in the whole group, and we have a group of pretty bad actors.
Are you wanting to force the government?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. At the end of this month, the government or the Congress has to pass a budget. Do you think we can avoid a government shutdown?
Yeah, I do. I think the Republicans will vote for an extension. We won't have any Democrat votes. We could give the greatest budget ever. Tax cut of 50%, everybody taken care of, perfect for women, perfect for men, perfect for minorities, perfect for everything, and we wouldn't get one vote for the Democrats because they've lost their mind. They are so deranged. They have Trump derangement syndrome, and I don't want to
Trump derangement syndrome.
burn the Republican Party with it, but they really are. They've become almost sick. They actually think there is a disease. It's called Trump derangement syndrome. They've got it. No matter what we did, no matter how good, you could give them everything that they've ever dreamed of, and you wouldn't get one vote. These are sick people, and I think we're going to have a tremendous midterm. We just approved the largest tax decrease in the history of our country. We have things, when you think of it, no tax on tips, no tax on Social Security for our seniors, no tax on overtime, deductions when you buy a car and you borrow money to buy a car. First time they've ever seen anything like this. Middle-income people get deductions. You get a deduction when you buy a car. Nobody's ever seen. And by the way, they're selling cars like crazy. Cars are pouring back because.
Why are they putting the camera on his crotch?
Cars are pouring back into our car plants are pouring back into our nation. They're coming from.
Oh, that's some nice
cufflinks.
cufflinks.
We lost about 54% of automobile manufacturing over a 30-year period, 35-year period. They're all coming back. I think they're coming back higher than ever before. We have AI going up. What we've done is amazing, and what we've passed is amazing. But the Democrats, I don't believe, will get one vote. It's very anti-crime. We want anti-crime. They're in favor of crime. We're against crime. You know, they gave us things like men playing in women's sports, open borders for everybody, transgender for everybody. I mean, they wanted transgender for all of the crazy things that they were saying. And, you know, people would say they're 80-20 issues. I say they were 97-3. I would say 97-3.
Oh, not the socks, not the ankles.
This is the best issue of all. They are against preventing crime. They are.
Who is the
fighting us.
cameraman? What the
I
fuck?
want to go into Chicago, and I have this incompetent governor that doesn't.
Why is you showing us his
that
penny
this weekend,
loafers?
72 people were shot in Chicago. I'm embarrassed to say it in front of the president of Poland. 11 people were killed. 72 people were shot. Last week, 7 people were killed in Chicago, a place which is probably your #1 place. I hate to say it, and we got to keep it safe. But 7 people were killed.
Cameraman don't even give a fuck. He can look with his own eyes. He taking the whole camera down there to his ankle.
So in 3 weeks, I lost almost 35 people were killed. It could have been stopped. If you look at Washington, D.C., 3 weeks ago, it was the same or worse. and now it's considered a totally safe zone. Restaurants are open, they're bustling. Restaurants, you have to see, restaurants were dying. Nobody wanted to go out. They didn't want to be attacked. They didn't want to be mugged.
Everything.
They didn't want to be attacked.
You lying
even
about
in a
everything
restaurant.
today.
And you
Knowing damn well
friends of mine
overdose
haven't
is the
gone to a
leading
restaurant
cause
in
of,
4 years.
and you know what I'm saying?
Out 5 times
And we
in the
need to
last
fight mental
2
illness.
weeks to a restaurant.
We need to fight mental health before we start doing anything else.
Washington, D.C.
Mental health is
totally safe
outrageous
city.
right now
You're
in
not
America.
reporting any crime because there is none. They said crime is down 87%, and I said, no, it's not. It's down 100%. We have a great thing going. I could do that with Chicago. We could do that with New York. We could do it with Los
LA?
Angeles. So we're making a determination now. Do we go to Chicago?
Or LA?
Do we go to a place like New Orleans, where we have a great governor, Jeff Landry?
Yeah, you take your ass to New Orleans if you want. They're gonna put all types of roots on you down there.
Nice.
Go ahead.
Of this country.
Go ahead. They're gonna put a root on your ass.
Quite, you know, quite tough, quite bad. So we're gonna be going to maybe Louisiana, and you have New Orleans, which has a crime problem. We'll straighten that out in about 2 weeks. It'll take us 2 weeks, easier than DC. But we could straighten out Chicago. All they have to do is ask us to go into Chicago if we don't have the support of some of these politicians. But I'll tell you who is supporting us, the people of Chicago. And I sort of want them to let it be known they have incompetent people. A guy like Gavin Newsom, he's the governor of a state that if we didn't go into Los Angeles with our soldiers, with our National Guard, you wouldn't even be having the Olympics there. They were going to take it. And remember this, your top law enforcement officer in Los Angeles said, there's no
your ass. Know your ass. Know your ass.
We saved Los Angeles and we saved the Olympics. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. President, in regards to Gavin Newsom, would you be open to a congressional investigation in regards to the specific Palisades fire where killed 12 seniors to see if there's any negligence on Gavin Newsom or Karen Bass in regards to those deaths?
Well, I'll tell you, there's negligence on not getting people permits. That is negligent. We got all of the federal permits. Lee Zeldin, the federal permits are much more difficult. They were all gotten within 30 days. People could go build their houses. It's going to be years before they are allowed to build their house. And Karen Bass.
Why are you worried about what I be doing?
And Newsom, this is a very incompetent guy. I watched him with the hands. I'm saying, what's going on with the hands? There's something wrong with him. If you watch him, there's something wrong with this guy. But
As he sit there and wave his hands back and
he
forth.
didn't allow the water to come from the Pacific Northwest. You know, they have tremendous amounts of water.
I was watching his hands and
they send the water out to the Pacific Ocean. So I demanded it be open. If that were open before the fire, you wouldn't have had the fire because all the sprinklers would have worked in the houses. They had no water. They had no water in the fire hydrants. You wouldn't have had the fires. It would have been put out after one house, 2 houses. But he stopped the water from coming in. And I had to send in the military to have that water open after the fires. And now they have water, but he should have more because they still restricted. There's something wrong with these people. There's something really wrong. As to investigation, I view it as a gross incompetence. I view it as
well, you know, 7 times 7. It's probably a good thing I don't, smoke tobacco or partake in the tobacco smoking part, right? And furthermore, it's not in control of me because it's not a necessity, right? If you notice, my daily function still operates the same. I still work out, right? So, if you're actually looking at it, I think you're barking up the wrong tree when it comes to this variety, right? And let's go to the biblical days, right? Let's go to the biblical days. Certain things that was burnt offerings was considered pleasing to the gods, right? So if we're supposed to take up, fruits and vegetables, then certain vegetation was burnt and it was pleasing to the gods. So all I'm doing is doing that same thing within inside myself. I'm giving the gods within inside of me the burnt offering that they are asking for. You see how that works? As above, so below, as without, so within. Namaste. Namaste. Okay? This is my burnt offering. You can't be upset how I burn my offering. You know what I'm saying? You burn your offering how you burn your offering. Let me burn my offering how I burn my offering. All right? And pray with inside yourself at all times, okay?
The country would be destroyed. Yeah.
Thank you, sir. What's the most important branches of interest between Poland and U.S. in your opinion?
Well, it's just the relationship we have. I think there's a great trust, a great, more than, more than most countries, more than almost any countries. We have some in a category that's very special, and Poland is in that category. We have a very special relationship. It's like the question about the soldiers that was asked. We never even thought in terms of removing soldiers from Poland. We do think about it with regard to other countries, but we would never know. We're with Poland all the way, and we will help Poland protect itself.
I would like to add something. Yeah, of course, security is most
Right.
important. Also
I get shit done. The Bible say you're going to know Christ by his actions and his deeds. You know what I'm saying? Know me by my actions. Know me by my deeds. Don't try to look at, oh, you're smoking. Nah, you're trying to judge me. You know what I'm saying? You ain't supposed to judge nobody. You're not the judger.
Nowadays we have almost 10,000 soldiers, and this is the signal to the whole world and also to the Russian Federation that we are together. But we are not like the Poland free of riders in Europe and in NATO. Mr. President Trump knows it because our GDP.
Thank you, John. Judge not, let ye be judged. Thank you.
So we are probably the one nation which is on this level, and we.
I know, Frankie. You can't do that. You don't try to turn this around, make this a Trump thing. We keeping up with Trump. We not judging him every day. We keeping up with him. That's why I say update. You know, it don't say judging Trump.
It's not just about that. Poland was one of two nations that paid more than they were supposed to with NATO. I don't know if anyone knows that, but there were two nations, and Poland paid more than they were supposed to. They thought it was
right. Common Chi.
Listen,
I don't brag about how well I handle it, but hey, listen, I smoke and I get shit done, and everything is copacetic.
Never even thought about it until just now.
President Tariffs, what's your message for President?
Never even thought. It wouldn't have been my place to be there.
President Tariffs, what's your message for tariffs?
Say that shit. I got money and I work hard. I do what I want with it. And then, if marijuana is part of my funds, then that's what it goes to, because it's my money. And I want it now. J.G. Whitworth.
But I will, I think it's something we could consider doing. Love to do it. I love the White House.
Get you some coffee and a little puff puff.
It's safe. If you would have said, like, the Governor Moore wanted me to go and walk through Baltimore with him, and I said, I think I'm a brave guy, but there's no reason to be stupid. They have crime that's at levels that nobody's ever seen before in Baltimore. They've done a terrible job. We go into Baltimore, straighten that very quickly, too. You know why? They respect our soldiers. You see our soldiers. They respect our soldiers. We'd go there, too. But we're going to have people asking us to go.
Hey, 7 times 7, that don't even make sense what you just said.
The politicians are not.
That don't even make sense what you just said.
The people in Chicago, the people in Baltimore, the people in all
So you trying to say if they go against him, they're Satan? That don't make sense.
We're pretty much waiting till we get asked and properly. We've been doing that with big service. Yeah.
First of all, you can't even use God in this sense because one, Trump already said that he's not Christian. So Trump already said that he don't even believe in the same God that you believe in, right? So for you to sit here and say, by going against Trump, we're going against God, only lets me know that you're a follower of the Antichrist, right? Because the person who you telling us to follow don't even have that religious background that you're defending him in, right? So that don't make no sense right there, right? And then for you to say that a man, right, whoever goes against this man is going against God doesn't even make sense because the Bible tells us that if we put our faith and man will fail every time, right? And the Bible also tells us that man will appear to us, that the devil will appear to us in the form of man, right? And since you want to bring up the Bible 777, whatever you want to call yourself, right? I want you to go to John and read John, right? Because you believe that the Antichrist is in everybody and don't believe that Christ is in people, you're a follower of the Antichrist. It says that clear. It says there's only two type of people down here: Christ-like beings and Antichrist-like beings, right? So for those who don't believe that Christ is in everybody, right, they're followers of the Antichrist. Because how do you believe that the Antichrist is in everybody, but don't believe Christ is in everybody? That makes you a follower of the Antichrist. So if you can't see the Christ in everybody, right, then you are a follower of the Antichrist. Okay? Search for the Christ in people. All right? Stop going around trying to judge people. You already attacked me. Now you're trying to attack everybody else by saying that if they don't believe in Trump, they're a follower of Satan, right? So obviously you got your teachings wrong. Obviously you went down the wrong path, and now you're trying to steer us down the wrong path, right? So whatever it is that you got going on, keep that shit to yourself. All right? Don't try to go disrupt or disturb other people's, spirit, because you done fucked up your spirit. All right? Appreciate you.
You talked about how historic these tariffs have been, bringing in revenue, additional revenue for our country. You've also mentioned before they could possibly replace federal income tax.
Possible.
Do you think that's
Someday it's possible. It used to be. So if you go back to 1913 is when they ended tariffs. We were the richest ever from 1850. It was all tariffs. We didn't have income taxes. From 1850 to 1913. In the 1887s, about 1887, they had the Great National Tariff Act. And
Great National Tariff Act.
Because our country was so rich, they didn't know what to do with the money. We had so much money, they didn't know what to do. It was a group of very prominent people that were set up to hand out money to everybody because we were the richest we ever were. Proportionately, we were in 1887, around that time, even in 1913, we ended them in 1913. How did that work out? And then we went to the income tax system, and then we had the Depression. And by the way, a lot of people try and say that, tariffs with the Depression. No, they ended in 1913. And then we went to income tax, and then in 1929 you had the Depression. They did try and bring it back in 1931-32, but the Depression had long started, and this poor, beautiful nation was gone. It was gone. We suffered for 25 years. It took 25, 30 years to really recover from the Depression. And we don't ever want to see that happen again. The tariffs are vital to the success of this country.
The people around him know he lying too.
Wars, at least half of those wars were ended
in 1887.
I was able to say
we had a great tariff.
With you, or if you're going
a tariff wasn't even a word in 1887. You hear me?
All of a sudden they announced that the war was settled.
Tariff wasn't even a word in 1887.
One going 31 years. Look at the Congo and Rwanda. Look at that. 31 years, 10 million people dead. I got it settled. And a little bit of that one, less than in some cases, had to do with trade and had to do with tariffs. So, tariffs are vital to our country. And just so you know, other countries use them on us, but I just used them a lot better. We're in a much better position. We have trillions of dollars coming into our country. If we didn't have tariffs, we would be a very poor nation. And we would be taken advantage of by every other nation in the world, friend and foe. We're not going to let that happen. And we have a very, very big case in the Supreme Court. I can only say this. Our country has a chance to be unbelievably rich again, but it can also be unbelievably poor again. If we don't win that case, our country is going to suffer so greatly, so greatly. But I think we're going to have a big victory. Even if you look at the people that brought the case, they're foreign-oriented.
Tariff Act of 1887 raised the average duty on imports to almost 50%. It was designed to protect domestic industries and workers from foreign competition. As promised in the Republican platform, the act represented protectionism and policies supported by Republicans and denounced by Democrats. Additionally, the Interstate Commerce Act, improved on February 4th, 1887, created a Interstate Commerce Commission to oversee the conduct of the railroad industry. This made railroads the first industry subject to federal regulations. President Grove, Cleveland. The Tariff Act of 1890.
Therefore, countries have taken advantage of the United States for so many years. And I started with China. You know, last term I took in hundreds of billions of dollars in tariffs from China. But when COVID came, the last thing I was going to do is we're going to tariff France and Italy and, you know, others, Spain, when they were doing so badly. But now we made a deal with the European Union where they're paying us almost $1 trillion. And they're happy to do it. You know what? They're happy it's done. These deals are all done. I guess we'd have to unwind it.
Hey, 777. I want you to realize how asinine you sound, right? The Bible tells you that he who is in you is greater than he who is in the world, right? The Bible also tells you that seek all knowledge for the kingdom of heaven, because heaven is inside of you, right? So everything in the Bible points inside of you. Even Jeremiah said, do not be fooled by signs of their nations, right? So before you come in here trying to say someone's a demon because they recognize the God inside their self, I think you need to go get back into your book, right? So at this point, I'm going to ask you to stop typing in the comment section. And mods, if he say anything else that is not facts or true or tear somebody else's religion down or tear somebody else down, mute him. Mute him. Because at this point, all he's in here doing is picking a fight. And how is that godly of him? How can he be so Christian if he's not doing everything in his power to be at peace with one another, right? The Bible says to do everything in your power to be at peace with one another. You going around causing friction and then making it seem like you're of God. You're not. So stop making it seem like you're of God and stop trying to tear down what everybody else believes. All right. Belief is an unknown system and it's unknown for a reason. So don't try to tear somebody else's unknown system down when you ain't trying to look at your own unknown system. All right. Damn.
We've done deals with Japan, with South Korea. We've done deals with many countries and others to come. And if we didn't have the power,
Yeah, acting all crazy and shit, trying to make himself seem godly.
and I used them wisely, and people respect America again, and we've become a rich country again. The money coming in is incredible. And again, they use them on us. If we didn't have them, they would use them on us, and we would have no way to fight them. We would be a third world nation. So I think it's one of the most important cases I've ever seen go before the Supreme Court of the U.S.
Is there a UK Vladimir Putin a 2-week deadline to agree to talks with Volodymyr Zelensky? That deadline is now nearly approached. Can you give us any indication when you will make a decision?
Well, I'm having a conversation with him very shortly, and I'll know pretty much what we're going to be doing. We've taken very strong action, as you know. And in other ways, we've taken very strong action. But I'll be speaking to him over the next few days, and we're going to see. I'm going to know exactly what's happening. I'm not happy with all the people. You got 7,819 people killed last week. Russian soldiers and Ukraine soldiers, right? not American soldiers, not soldiers from Poland, but they're human beings, they're souls. They have parents, they wave goodbye to their parents, and their parents never see them again. That's the end of them. Over a stupid war, and I want to see it stopped. Now, we have stopped the money. We send weapons to NATO, they pay full price. We don't, Biden spent $350 billion so stupidly. It was one of the reasons that this whole thing happened. A big reason this war happened was sitting right in these chairs, this one in particular. So I will tell you that I think we're going to have a good solution. But they're losing soldiers at levels that nobody has seen since the Second World War.
Absolutely. God is love, man. God is love.
It's just going on and on. It's one's defense, one's offense. The offense moves a little bit, just a little bit. You take a look. They move inches. They're dropping bombs and killing everybody. The whole thing is not since the Second World War has there been anything even close to this.
You see?
And
You see what I'm saying? You see how the things that he's saying don't make sense? And you telling us that Trump is of God, and anybody that but Trump, we're looking at all the things that Trump did. You know what I mean? When Trump needed steel, he bought cheap steel, right? When Trump needed workers, he used the immigrants, right? When Trump, I'm not even about to go down the list. Just Trump is for peace right now. Let's see where this peace thing go, and see if we can move our world into a more peaceful, state of being. But we're not even going. We know that you're in here now on some bullshit. Like, we now know that in the words of the Muslims, you are a jinn. You know what I mean? If you was Muslim right now, I'll probably say, Astaghfirullah, Aki, because the shit you saying right now is of a demonic presence or essence, or one of the 72 demons of Solomon. Like, you are operating as like Baal or one of the 72 demons, or you must study Alison Crowley, or you must have some Baphomet history or some shit, because at this point, you're just using, religion as a way for your fucked up ideas. You know what I mean? Like, at this point, you're just reshaping religion to fit whatever fucked up shit your mind is coming up with. And I think that is crazy that you're going around trying to force that on other people because your mind is fucked up. You know what I'm saying? If your mind fucked up, don't go around trying to fuck our minds up. You know what I'm saying? You got it. You good. You already fucked up enough for all of us. So yeah, keep that shit to yourself, 7 times 7 7. All right? Dang.
soldiers from my
Using religion to lie. You the devil. You using the Bible to lie? Damn.
And you know that I thought of the 7, basically 7.
See?
Tough wars.
7.
To end. Much tougher, I thought, than the war with Ukraine and Russia. I thought that Ukraine and Russia have a very good relationship with President Putin. I thought that that would be much easier. I thought that would be in the middle of the pack, maybe one of the easiest. Sometimes you never know with war. You know, war is a very interesting thing. You never know with war. War is complex.
We trying to listen to what he talking about. You keep talking about the Bible 7 times 7 7.
It's gonna get
Shut your ass up.
But they have to stop killing all of these souls. They're souls, and we have to stop killing. Thank you.
Jesus Christ never said believe in Trump. Jesus Christ never said if you don't believe in Trump, you're going to hell. Jesus, none of the shit you saying did Jesus say. Like, what are you talking about?
Putin, he knows where I stand, and
Jesus, they never said none of that.
Big deal. When you come out and when you leave the room, you'll see that we just over the last few minutes literally shot out a boat, a drug carrying boat, a lot of drugs on that boat. And you'll be seeing that and you'll be reading about that. It just happened moments ago, and our great general, head of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, who's been so incredible, including what took place in Iran, knocking out potential nuclear power for a long time to come. Within a month they would have had it. We didn't do what we did, but he gave us a little bit of a briefing.
Sometimes it is.
And you'll see, and there's more where that came from. We have a lot of drugs pouring into our country, coming in for a long time. And we just, these came out of Venezuela and coming out very heavily from Venezuela. A lot of things are coming out of Venezuela. So, we took it out, and you'll get to see that after this meeting is over. Do you have any questions, please? Yeah, please.
I'll name one thing that you said that was hateful. Someone spoke on something and you said that that was the demonic entity coming out of them. You can tell that they're demons or something like that, right? That would be hateful because everyone knows that demons is of hellbound and of a bad notion, right? So you're playing this word game with friends where you say certain things that entices people's spirit, right? And you're doing it with religion because you're trying to use religion as a way to fight for whatever poppy cammy story that you coming up with, right? It's hateful because you're causing the argument, right? We know what you're doing, right? It's called bait. It's called rage baiting, right? So you're baiting them to argue with you about religion because you're using the absence of proof as your backup in religion to argue with people. Does that make sense? I hope it makes sense. Can we move on and get out of like trying to make you the center of everything? You know what I'm saying? Because it doesn't make sense, Seven. 7 times 7, whatever the hell your name is. Can you say something about what we're listening to and talking about? Can you say something about this? It doesn't make no sense for you to keep doing what you're doing. Like, you want us to keep on talking to you about what you want to talk about. So you're using the room to try to make it about what you want to talk about because you probably have no talking points of what we're actually talking about, right? Just come on, man. We want the facts and the merits. We don't want you coming over here trying to attack people's, you know what I mean? Like, we don't want that. I'm not making it an issue. I'm watching him attack people in the comment section. So if I ask people to be respectful in the comment section, I don't need nobody in the comment section trying to call people demons and all of that weird stuff and trying to say that their followers are Satan just because they don't follow Trump and all of that stuff. Like, come on, make it make sense. Telling people that, oh, because you smoke, you're a demon, and it doesn't make sense. So, you know what I'm saying? I'm trying to get him so that way the mods won't block him. You know what I mean? Well, too late.
About the cost savings
Yeah.
associated with this announcement. Can you talk about the strategic benefits by having Space Force Command headquartered in Huntsville?
Well, it just works because we have so much else there. And having a central, you could call it a central command, but it really is a command station. Also, even locationally, where it is, and when you think about flying distances, if you can save a half an hour as fast as some of these planes go and things go, and even the rockets go, if you can save by having the best location. So we went out, as you know, to experts, and we had 4 different groups of experts. They all said this was the best location. I also loved it from the standpoint, I know the people of Alabama, they are great people, work hard, and there's no games, and they're very proud of it. And I would say they fought harder for it than anybody else also. A lot of states, 5 states really wanted it, but they wanted it more. And
they paid the most money, that's what he's saying.
These people, they
paid me the most money.
That's all they wanted to talk about. They didn't want to talk about the weather. They only wanted to talk about moving to this location, moving to Alabama, Huntsville in particular. So we're honored to do it. They really wanted it badly, and they got it. Peter?
Completely different, but about a big viral social media trend over the weekend. How did you find out over the weekend that you were dead? You see that?
No.
People didn't see it for a couple days. 1.3 million user engagements as of Saturday morning about your demise.
Really? I didn't see that. You know, I have heard it's sort of
I don't
crazy.
believe in
Last
freedom of
week I had
speech. Well, you could
numerous
say that, but I guess y'all don't believe in freedom of religion.
like this is
If he's
different.
coming in the room and he's forcing
And then
his religion on
I didn't do
everybody,
any for 2
then he
days,
don't
and you
believe in
said,
freedom of
"There must
religion.
be something
But you
wrong
never
with
said nothing about
I've
that,
been
did you?
doing for months.
You
wouldn't
never
say
said
it.
nothing about
Nobody
his
else
level
said-
of.
there
That's
would
how
never
you know
be any
you're
harm
another person just here to try to attack the host.
No, I heard that.
You know what I
get
mean?
Reports.
Because
Now,
why?
you knew I did an interview.
What
that
happened to
lasted for
freedom of
about an hour
religion?
and a half with somebody.
You know?
Everybody saw that was on
You know?
one of your competitors. I did numerous shows and also did a number of truths, long truths, I think pretty poignant truths. No, I was very active over
By
there.
telling
They also
everybody
knew
that
I
they were
went out to
followers
visit
of
some people
Satan.
at the club that I own.
If they don't believe in Trump, they're
nearby on the
followers of
Potomac River.
Satan.
And no, I've been very active actually.
Uh,
I didn't hear that one. That's pretty serious stuff. Well, it's fake news.
Another,
It's just
everybody
so,
in here is not
it's so
Christian,
fake.
so
That's why
therefore,
the media has
I
so
don't know. You
little
decide.
credibility.
You decide.
I knew
You
they
decide
were
what you
saying,
got out of
like,
that.
Is he okay? How's he feeling? What's wrong? I said I just left, and it's also sort of no
No,
longer
because you're
with
not. This is not a space that we created to debate religion with others. It's not a. We're not debating beliefs with others right now. So you got to read the room. You got to be able to read the room. You can't just walk in and just start debating belief and religion. That's like going to a sports game and arguing, Christ. That don't make sense.
Well, we have a big problem with school shooting.
Oh.
We also have thousands and thousands of schools.
No, he's talking about the space program moving
they talk
to
about you can do things
Alabama.
construction-wise, and that's really I think nobody knows more about construction than me. You can build the construction doors. You can build what they call safety doors, where they lock on the outside, the inside, and every place else. Well, but if one of these lunatics happens to get through, then the police can't get in. Then they're looking for keys all over the place, and it takes a lot of disadvantages to.
Patriot Watch. Patriot Watch. Now, see, I was about to scroll back and read your earlier message because Trump never said nothing about a belief system, but you in here saying something about, freedom of speech, right? So because we got rid of that other person, you said, oh, so let me guess, you don't believe in freedom of speech over here. Okay, worse than Trump, right? So obviously you wasn't talking about Trump because you made it seem like something was worse than Trump. Therefore, you were comparing me or whatever it was you were comparing to Trump. You see what I'm saying? Y'all like to come into people's spaces and play words with friends. They got apps for that, right? Say what you mean and mean what you say. Stop trying to hide behind your words. You made an attack, and then when I addressed it, you try to switch it up and make it seem like you were talking about Trump. Cut it the fuck out. You said, oh, so you don't believe in freedom of speech. You're worse than Trump. The hell is you talking about? Wow. Y'all be trying to play, y'all be trying to insult people's intelligence, man. Y'all gotta cut that out.
Some of these lunatics that we're dealing with, but I don't think so. I've thrown out the concept. We have great teachers that love our children. The parents love the children. Teachers love the children too. And if you took a small percentage of those teachers.
You talking about Jesus and Satan and other shit. You ain't even say nothing about Trump 7 times 7. And I see you went and got another account. That lets me know that you are a bot for real.
I sort of liked it.
You are a bot for real, for real.
But they're trained. They know about weapons. You can't do it with every teacher because most teachers don't know, and But I always thought that would be an alternative. But it just we've had a lot of instances. Other countries have also. They have different kinds of problems.
Hey, appreciate that, Tony.
But we do have. There's something going on. And it's.
We didn't see what the tariff did yet. We don't know what the tariffs is going to do. I mean.
Yeah, I don't want to.
Right now, only thing that we know about tariff is that it changed the way that they order, shipments and stuff. So they got a lot of stuff that's sitting in warehouses and stuff. This is probably why you see Walmart putting Christmas stuff out early, why they already got October stuff out, because they got it in the warehouse. So they got to put it out early because the shelf life, right? So it just changed up the way that they got to go about it, and it might have, affect some, Christmas bonuses and stuff like that. But we haven't really seen the real effect of tariff. Eli Musk said the second half of this year we're going to see the you know what I mean? So Eli Musk said the second half of this year is going to look bad. So we're moving into there right now, September. So we're about to see what's going on with this tariff stuff.
I have learned things that will be very interesting. I think in the next few days you'll find out.
Consequences if there isn't some type of announcement of a meeting with President Putin and President Zelensky, and what could those consequences
We're going to
be?
see what happens. We're going to see what they do and what happens. I'm watching it very closely. Last week they lost 7,000, between the two countries, 7,313 soldiers to be somewhat exact, for no reason whatsoever. And they're Russian and they're Ukrainian, but they're soldiers. I want to see it end. Yeah.
Have you decided you're definitely going to send National Guard troops to Chicago?
You have a great day as well, man. You have a great day on purpose.
Chicago's very interesting because I watched Pritzker get up and say we don't need help, we're safe. But 2 weeks ago they had 6 people murdered, and they had 24 people hit by bullets. Last week, as you know, it was 7 people, 24 people hit, and 7 people died. And then over the last 2 days, that was the crown jewel. They had, I guess, 9 or 10 killed, and 50 hit with bullets. And you have this governor get up, who's a terrible governor. Probably he and Gavin Newsom would be probably the 2 worst and most naive. They're naive. Either they're naive or they're very untruthful. And he'll say, we don't want any protection, we don't need. So in the last 3 weeks, he's lost almost 20 people killed. There's no place in the world, including you can go to Afghanistan, you can go to places that you would think of. They don't even come close to this. Chicago is a hellhole right now. Baltimore is a hellhole right now. Parts of Los Angeles are terrible. If we didn't put out the fires, and I mean the other fires, the bullet fires, they didn't do a good job with it. They should have had the water coming down, like I said. We had to release the water. We had to go in and release the water to LA. It's so badly run. But if I didn't send the National Guard into Los Angeles, I would be making an announcement today. I'd be talking about Huntsville, and I'd simultaneously be saying, by the way, the Olympics is not coming to Los Angeles. If we didn't do that, and even the sheriff, the top law enforcement person in Los Angeles said, we could not have handled it without them. So that's what he said.
Trump don't have a religion to force. Trump's not forcing his religion.
I didn't say when, we're going in. When you lose, look, I have an obligation. This isn't a political thing. I have an obligation. When we lose,
that's all it is. We're going to have to unify. We're going to have to realize how much we need each other.
So let me tell you a little story about a place called D.C., District of Columbia, right here where we are. It's now a safe zone. We have no crime. It's in such great shape. You can go and actually walk with your children, your wife, your husband. You can walk right down the middle of the street. You're not going to be shot, Peter. You're safe. Everyone likes you anyway. They probably wouldn't do it. But it's so dangerous. And there are people in this audience that you've suffered greatly. There are people in this audience that have been mugged.
Yeah, she suffered greatly, my ass. Where's her mark at? Where she got pistol whipped? Where's her scar at?
You made quite an impression on a lot of people. I appreciate it. But there were other people in this room that have been hurt very badly just walking down the street in D.C. Washington, D.C. is a safe zone right now. It's a safe city. The restaurants are open. They're booming. You can't get a restaurant. New restaurants are announcing that they're going to be open. This took place in 12 days. Now it's 15 days, but 3 days ago it became what's known as a safe zone. It's a safe city. And this city was really bad. Really, really bad. We took 1,600 people out, hardcore criminals that will not be coming back anytime soon. And we're very proud of it. To have our nation's capital lose every week. It was like many years where every single week somebody was killed for many many consecutive weeks. This went on for years. And then we had, last week it was announced that nobody was killed last week. And I made that announcement in front of a very distinguished leader of a country. And I'm saying proudly, ladies and gentlemen, nobody was killed
Ladies and
in
gentlemen.
Washington, D.C. this week. He looked at me like,
Ladies and gentlemen.
what's that all about? I said, yeah, we have a little bit of a crime problem, and we don't have a crime problem in Washington anymore. And the mayor has been very helpful, and the police commissioner has been very helpful, and it's been a great team. And I would love to have Governor Pritzker call me. I gain respect for him, and say, we do have a problem, and we'd love you to send in the troops, because you know what?
Ladies and gentlemen.
People, they have to be protected. I saw it today on one of your networks, not a friendly network, except really the opposite, I would say, very unfriendly network. And they interviewed about 12 people on this morning. Most of them were African American, who were black. And they were saying, please, please, please let the president send it. These were people from Chicago. Please, we need help. We need help. We can't walk outside. We're petrified. If the governor of Illinois would call me up, I would love to do it. Now, we're going to do it anyway. We have the right to do it because I have an obligation to protect this country. And that includes Baltimore. I saw where Governor Moore was asking me to take a walk down the street of Baltimore. Well, Baltimore is a very unsafe place. It's rated number 4 in the city, one of the most unsafe places anywhere in the world. But, you know, we took care of, this was a beautiful thing that happened in Washington because we showed that it could be done. And this wasn't just sending big, strong guys, and they are big and they are strong. You know, we had a great decision from the Supreme Court that had to do with sort of talent. It had to do with you are put down based on merit. You can hire based on merit. So merit for a soldier or for a policeman is strong, physically fit, having a certain ability, not a person that is woke and got the job through woke, but wasn't strong enough to lift a gun out of the holster, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I looked at the police, as you know, last week I went over, we had a meeting there had to be 300 people, and they were all very impressive looking. And when the bad guys see them, they're not going to do a thing. And so I'm very proud of Washington. It serves as a template, and we're going to do it elsewhere. But Chicago is certainly going to be high. I would love to have him call. I would love the governor of Illinois. I'd be honored to take his call. All he has to do is say, sir, we need help. It's out of control. And everyone knows it is. He's not kidding anyone. I would love to have, I would say, Governor Moore call, because I watched him over the weekend trying to explain that Baltimore, what they need is housing. No, they don't need housing. They need to get rid of the criminals. These are hardcore criminals. You know, we took many people off the streets of Washington, D.C. They're hardcore. They're not going to be good. In 10 years, in 20 years, in 2 years, they're going to be criminals. They were born to be criminals, frankly. They were born to be criminals, and they're tough and mean, and they'll cut your throat, and they won't even think about it the next day. They won't even remember that they did it. And we're not going to have those people. Washington, D.C. is now a safe zone. It's a safe place. And you can walk, Katie, you can walk right down the street with, by the way, one of the biggest human beings I've ever seen, which is her husband. He was a football player for like 11 years in the NFL. He's a big person. But big doesn't mean anything when they have guns and when they have knives and everything else that they have, right? But you can walk right down the street, even by yourself, and you're totally safe. Washington, D.C. is a great thing. Yes, ma'am, please.
Calling on Democratic leaders across the country to work with you on crime. Do you see your efforts here in D.C., including, for example, working with Mayor Bowser here as a model for bringing more bipartisanship in matters, not only with crime, but also issues that matter to everyday American people's lives?
So Mayor Bowser's been great. She could have taken the thing, oh, well, and then after I clean it up, they'll take credit for it. You know what they do is they take credit. Like, we cleaned up Los Angeles. We did a great job there. And it was overwhelming what was going on. And again, the police chief made a statement that we could not have done, there's no way they could handle it. You saw what was happening out there. It was going to be a disaster. We stopped it cold. If we didn't do that, would have been a very sad day. And you know, remember, we have the Olympics, we have the World Cup, we have all these things coming, and we have 250, all of these things coming. But I watched Newsom get up and say, he's doing the great. He's not, we're the ones that did it. And that's okay, whatever it takes. But the main thing is but he got up and said, we did it. Well, he didn't want us there. And he's going to need us again because it's starting to form again. I see it. It's starting to form again. You know, we have to maintain. It's like maintenance on an airplane. You can buy it, but you have to maintain it. And if you don't maintain it, a good plane becomes very unsafe very quickly. So it's an honor to do it. It's a lot of presidents wouldn't do what I'm doing. I don't need.
You think he's gonna walk around
I
Chicago?
watched television last night, and I'm watching the news, and I see that 9 people were killed in Chicago, and 54 were badly wounded with bullets. I say, that's not this country. We have to do something. And I do say this. I say this very much. I'm not speaking to anybody but them right now. I would love to receive calls from governors and mayors saying they need help. We'll help them. We have a lot of people. We have a great force. We have a great military force. You know, Pete will tell you that when I was running for office, and this was a big headline, I think, you know, probably got me a couple of votes, but you couldn't sign people in the military. Nobody wanted to join the military, the Army, Air Force, the Navy, Marines, Space Force, Coast Guard. We never forget Coast Guard because they've done such a great job. Never. But nobody wanted to join any of them. We were way below what we wanted. Every single one. The closest was the Marines, whatever that is. You'll explain that to me. But the closest was the Marines. But every service was way down, way down. And then I got elected, and our country's the hottest country anywhere in the world right now. Everybody's talking about the USA. They're talking about the job that we're doing. Everybody. We have the best economy. We have a very, very important decision being made by the Supreme Court because our country is the richest, the strongest, the most powerful. But if for some reason some liberal court, I'm talking about the court that just ruled, where even an Obama judge voted in favor of us, which I gave him a compliment yesterday, as you know. I said that took great courage. But it's a liberal court, and it's going up to the Supreme Court, who I think have been incredible people. I think they've made very wise decisions. But the tariff question, because without the tariffs, this country is in serious, serious trouble. We've taken in almost $17 trillion of investment is coming in. Most of it is coming because of tariffs. And if for some reason somebody wanted to be politically correct, I actually think it's unpolitically correct. I think politically correct is to approve it, because there's nothing so popular as what's happened to our country. Our country is doing so well. But we had a liberal court gave us a very shocking ruling. And that ruling is basically saying that the trillions of dollars that are pouring into our country, putting us in a position like no country is anywhere in the world, that they'd like to see us take it away. By the way, a lot of the people behind that lawsuit, that particular, are from foreign countries. I might add.
There's a video that is circulating online now of the White House where a window is open to the residents upstairs and somebody is throwing a big bag out the window. Have you seen this?
No, that's probably AI generated. So actually, you can't open the windows. You know why? They're all heavily armored and bulletproof.
A fake video?
Well, it's got to be, because I know every window up there. The last place I'd be doing it is that, because there's cameras all over the place, right? Including yours. No, but every window, I've never seen a window that's, in fact, my wife was complaining about it the other day. She said, love to have a little fresh air come in, but you can't. They're bulletproof. And number one, they're sealed, and number two, each window weighs about 600 pounds. You have to be pretty strong to open them up. No, that has to be, where was the window? Let me see.
Maybe for the renovations.
Which is the window?
It looks like this is on the 15th Street side, I think. So right here.
Yeah, those windows are sealed. Those windows are, they're all sealed. You can't open them. It's the kind of thing they do. And one of the problems we have with AI, it's both good and bad. If something happens really bad, just blame AI. But also they create things, you know, it works both ways. If something happens that's really bad, maybe I'll have to just blame AI. But there's truth to it because I see so many phony things. I saw something as I was growing up, from the time I was a baby till now. I said, who did that? It was AI.
From the time I was a
It's a little bit
baby,
scary.
I've been saying that was AI.
Those windows are all
From the
very-
time I was a
very
baby to now, I said, who did that?
What you were saying regarding that federal appellate court that ruled against you and your administration as it relates to your
Well, they ruled against our country, the court, and they ruled against us before. It's a very liberal court.
partisan in your.
Well, it certainly is. It certainly
And in
is.
fact, it was along ideological lines, 7-4.
Well, except that we actually got one of the Obama judges that was appointed by President Obama voted in favor of the tariffs because he felt it was imperative for our country to thrive and survive even. And I gave him credit. I said, you know what? That took a lot of courage for him to do it because you don't see that often.
My question is, I imagine, I suspect you're going to appeal that all the way to the Supreme Court.
Well, we already have, yeah. In fact, we're doing something else. We're going to be going to the Supreme Court, we think, tomorrow, because we need an early decision. I mean, look, the financial fabric of our country, we're a rich, incredible country right now, and we're able to, you know, other countries use tariffs on us for years, and we never did. I did a lot during my first term, but then we had COVID, and we had to focus on other things. You couldn't be tariffing Italy, Spain, France, as they were dying by the thousands and millions. But we did with China, and China paid us billions and billions of dollars. And I started the process, but then I had to end it a little bit because of COVID. We focused on that. But no, it's a very important decision. And frankly, if they make the wrong decision, it would be a devastation for our country. We've taken in trillions of dollars. And by the way, all these countries signed agreements, as an example. They said they're all happy, everybody's happy. But some whack job put in a lawsuit. It went before a very liberal court, and the liberal court ruled, it was 11, they ruled 7-4, with one of the most liberal of them all voting in our favor because they're patriots. I think I give tremendous credit to that judge. And now it's going to the Supreme Court. Now we're going to be asking for early admittance. We're going tomorrow, and we're going to ask for an expedited ruling because, you know, when you look at the stock market's down today, the stock market's down because of that. Because the stock market needs the tariffs. They want the tariffs. If you look at AI, all of those, you know, all of that money that's going to be invested, trillions and trillions of dollars, the biggest thing, bigger than the internet, I suspect. It's the internet plus 3 or 4 other things combined. We are leading very substantially with AI. We're leading because of tariffs. We're leading because of talent, and this is where they'd like to be. But without the tariffs, we wouldn't have a chance because we wouldn't be able to protect those investments of the companies coming in. So if you took away tariffs, we could end up being a third world country. That's how big the ruling. So we're asking for an expedited ruling.
As a backstop to that, President, you have a Republican-controlled Congress. You control the House. You control the Senate.
Yeah, but we don't have 60 votes. We don't have 60 votes. I'd love to do that. Oh, if we had 60 senators, if we got the 60 votes, we would get them. But we need 60 votes, and we need, you know, a certain number in the House. I think we'd get, I don't know, we have about 5 of them here. Would everybody agree with me on tariffs? Without tariffs, we're a different country. We have taken in so much money. And here's the thing. We signed a deal with Japan. They're paying us hundreds of billions of dollars. We signed a deal with South Korea. We signed a deal with the European Union. We signed a deal with Europe. And those countries are paying us $950 billion. And they're happy about it. They're okay. As one of them said, it's amazing that we got away with it so long. One of my friends, a leader of one of the countries, and they're fine with it. They all signed. If that ruling ever went against us, I guess we'd have to give back hundreds of billions. We would have to give trillions and trillions of dollars back to countries that have been ripping us off for the last 35 years. And I can't imagine it happening. On a legal basis, they have no legal basis whatsoever. But on a common sense basis, it would destroy America. Okay.
Do you think, talking about controlling the sky,
With Ursula? Well, she had an interesting event. She's a tremendous woman. And so what are you asking me about her? Sure, NATO is concerned about her. Well, nobody knows where it came from, but they did take away her ability to use the phone. You know? Sometimes that's a good thing. Sometimes that could happen to me. I'd be very happy.
Sometimes.
The tariffs on India from 50%.
What does that mean?
Are you considering taking away some of the tariffs that you've imposed on India?
No, we get along with India very well, but India has, you have to understand, for many years it was a one-sided relationship. Only now since I came along, and because of the power that we have with tariffs, India was charging us tremendous tariffs, about the highest in the world. They were about the highest in the world, number one. And we therefore weren't doing much business with India, but they were doing business with us because we weren't charging them. Foolishly, we weren't charging them. So they would send in massive, you know, everything they made, they'd send it in, pour it into our country, and therefore it wouldn't be made here, you know, which is a negative. But we would not send in anything because they were charging us 100% tariffs, and, you know, I'll give you an example, Harley Davidson. Harley Davidson couldn't sell into India. There was a 200% tariff on a motorcycle. So what happens? Harley Davidson went to India and built a motorcycle plant. And now they don't have to pay tariffs. Same thing as us. So what we're doing is literally thousands of companies are coming into the U.S., car companies, AI, but, you know, more traditionally car companies. We have so many car company factories under construction or being designed right now. And they're coming from China, they're coming from Mexico, I must tell you, and they're coming from Canada. A lot of them coming from Canada. But they're coming into our country because they want to build here. And they want to build here for two reasons. Number one, they'd like to be here. And number two, the tariffs are protecting them. And number three, they want to avoid paying tariffs. When they build their cars here, they don't have any tariffs to pay. You know, when you build here, you don't have any tariffs.
Mr. President, in light of the Minnesota shooting last week, the Department of Homeland Security is now awarding more than $100 million to hundreds of faith organizations across the country to help them ramp up security. What's your vision for further protecting religious liberty across the country amid incidents of threats?
So religious liberty is so important, and we're talking about every religion now, and we're doing things on that nobody else has ever done, and we're going to be announcing, we're going to be having a big announcement in about 2 weeks on that question. Yeah, please.
On Space Commit, sir, are you concerned that people may not be willing to relocate from Colorado to Alabama?
No, I'm not worried. They will get somebody else. I mean, the problem with Colorado is they have a very corrupt voting system. Look, I have so many friends in Colorado. Anytime you have mail-in voting, you have corrupt elections. Very simple. It's very simple. Even Jimmy Carter said it with his commission. They set up a commission with him and Scoop Jackson and some people, highly regarded people. And they said the one thing, the finding was, if you have mail-in voting, you will have corrupt elections. Well, your radical left governor decided that he was going to have all mail-in voting in Colorado. Once you have all mail-in voting, and for whatever reason, the Democrats cheat. And they cheat like, you know, they're not stupid. That's the only thing. They're no good on policy. They're no good on management. They're no good at government. But they're great at cheating. And they stick together, too. I give them credit for sticking together. Please.
Obviously, this is a big win for national security, moving this to Alabama. We've all agreed with that.
Big.
Is there any idea of the economic impact this has on the state and on that local area?
Katie, do you want to answer that?
Look, I mean, this would go.
Please go.
This is going to be tremendous. I mean, the state of Alabama, what we've seen through this process is the worst of Washington. We've seen politics get in the way of what is best for the warfighter, what's best for national security. And the state of Alabama is about to show the country the best among us. So we know the economic impact is going to be tremendous. There at Redstone Arsenal, we're proud to house everything from the FBI to headquarters there for material command to a number of things. We obviously have NASA with Marshall Space Flight Center, and so this naturally fits within. When you look at the decision matrix that they placed in front of us, that's why we ranked so high, is because we have the resources necessary and the ability to build out quickly to meet the needs in front of us. As far as economic impact, it would be tremendous. Does anybody have an exact number? 1,600 jobs. with 3,000 spinoff. Look at this. This is teamwork right here. So we are really proud, and the people of Alabama are ready to get to work.
And I've got a housing question, if you could, just for a second.
Yeah, please.
Owning a home, going about the American dream, it seems like it's out of touch for a lot of Americans.
Yeah.
Just recently, you pushed out a statement about addressing an emergency housing situation.
That's right, we're thinking about doing that.
Yeah, can you just?
Well, we need a little help from the Fed. We have a man named Jerome Too Late Powell. You probably heard of him. He's too late, way too late. And the economy is so strong that it's pushing through that. Normally it would have been much tougher, but we're doing so well that we're pushing through it. But it makes it very hard for people to get mortgages because too late is too late. Very simple. He's too late. And probably political, whatever. He wasn't too late before the election. Before the election, he was cutting rates, right? Because he was hoping that, I guess, Biden would get in, or that Kamala would. He was a big Biden guy. Explain that one. And then he was a Kamala person.
Kamala person.
Hoping, I guess she'd win, I guess. I don't know. It didn't work out too well. But yeah, we need a very serious cut. You know, I think that if you look back many decades ago, the United States was always the lowest, even if they were doing badly. The United States was, because without the United States, everything in the world would die. It's true. It's so powerful. It's so big, and I made it really big in the first 4 years. Then it started to degenerate with what this Biden administration did. But we built it up to a level that I never thought we could be at this quickly. We're the hottest, we're the best financially. The money coming in is so big because of tariffs and other things, but because of tariff. Tariff gets us even those other things. Plus it gets us great negotiating. I settled 7 wars, and numerous of those wars were because of trade. And numerous of the trade deals that I made were because of tariffs. It gives you a great negotiating ability. If that ability were taken away from us by a liberal court acting on essentially foreign nations, asking to get help from the United States government, when they've been doing this to us for 40 years, that's why we have $38 trillion in debt. We won't have it for long if they let us, if they allow us to do what everybody knows we should be able
Well,
to
we might do a live later
Yeah.
on because Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, is responding to after a meeting.
Federal buildings adopt and embrace classical architecture styles again. Can you talk to us about why you do that, and also what's your vision?
Well, we want to see beautiful buildings. Now, you know, it's in the eye of the beholder. I've seen architectural reviews over the years. I'm an expert at it. I've gotten a lot of great reviews. But I've seen buildings that I didn't think were very good get great reviews, and I've seen great buildings get bad reviews. So, but it's just a standard. We want to have a good standard. We're building something here, you know. For
Yeah,
150 years, they wanted to
a lot of
go
businesses
out and
has
do
been
something at the
eating
highest level, using
the
great
tariff. Like
architects.
they've been, businesses
And, you know,
are
it's very
failing right
exciting.
now.
But we have a lot of interesting things happening architecturally in DC. And DC's like a different place. And you know, even the contractor said, "Sir, when we walk down today, we feel like much safer. It's like a different place." Washington, DC is great. Now we're going to also beautify it. We're going to put a topping on the roads. We're not going to rip them apart and take 4 years to build a road that was exactly the same by the time you build it. But we're going to put toppings. We're going to put new medians in. We're going to get the graffiti off. We're going to put tiles up in the tunnels where the tiles are missing. And we'll do the whole tunnel instead of, you know, a little area where you see new tiles, old tiles that never look too good, but they could use it. You know, they've been up 50 years. They've served their duty. But we're going to make this within about a 20-mile radius from the White House. We're going to have this place spick and span. It's going to be crime-free, and it's going to be spick and span. It's going to be, you'll be proud of Washington again. Go ahead, please.
Sir, China's having a massive military parade that President Putin and Kim Jong-un will be attending. Do you interpret that as a challenge to this? And are you concerned at all about those countries?
No.
Some sort of counterweight?
Not at all. China needs us, and I have a very good relationship with President Xi, as you know. But China needs us much more than we need them. No, I don't see that at all, no. And I had actually a very good meeting with President Putin a couple of weeks ago. We'll see if anything comes out of it. If it doesn't, we'll take a different stance.
Is used for immigration detention going forward? In California ruled that your deployment of National Guard troops to Los Angeles was illegal. Do you have any response?
Well, it was a radical left judge, but very importantly, what did you not tell me in that question or statement that you made pretty much of a statement, I think.
Well, I was asking for your response.
No, you didn't say what the judge said, though. The judge said, but you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can continue to be in place. That's all we need. But why didn't you put that as part of your statement? Because the same judge ruled exactly as you said, except the judge said that you can leave the 300 people that you already have in place. They can stay, they can remain, they can do what they have to do. Thank you very much, everybody. We appreciate it. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Man, he don't be answering the questions. And we honest, he don't be answering them questions.
I'm telling you, you have a friend. Them in Ukraine, in Russia, in whatever country they live in, because no one is listening to them there. So thank you for being here. Thank you for listening, and please protect these women while we seek transparency.
Good morning. My name is Anushka DeGiorgio, and I stand before you today as a survivor of both Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell. I want to thank Congressman Massey and Khanna for their role in putting together this very, very important bill. Every day of this journey toward healing has come at a profound cost to my mental health. But I am here. I chose to come because this bill really matters. I speak today not only in service of my own recovery from trauma inflicted by Maxwell and Epstein, but to honor the lives, the courage and sacrifices of Virginia Giuffre, Caroline Andriano, and others who could not continue. Their voices mattered. Their stories must not be forgotten. Accountability is what makes a society civilized. Equal opportunity and equal consequence for all. Consequences are not about punishment alone. They exist to deter future harm, to protect vulnerable, and to set a standard of justice. If Ghislaine Maxwell were pardoned, it would undermine all the sacrifices I made to testify and make mockery of mine and all survivors' suffering. That is why the Epstein Files Transparency Act is so essential. It requires the Department of Justice release all the records related to Epstein and Maxwell investigations, flight logs, immunity deals, internal communications, and even the records surrounding Epstein's detention and death. And crucially, it forbids withholding documents simply because of embarrassment, reputational harm, or political sensitivity. This is about ending secrecy wherever abuse of power takes root. But transparency alone is not enough. Survivors need protection, resources, and legal support. If this Congress is serious about justice, then let this moment also affirm your commitment to provide victims with the legal aid they need to confront abusers, to navigate complex systems, and to reclaim their power. Transparency must be matched by support, or else too many victims will remain silent out of fear and lack of access. The statistics demand action. Nearly 1 in 5 women in America will experience rape or attempted rape in her lifetime. Every 74 seconds, someone is sexually assaulted. Every 9 minutes, that person is a child. These are not numbers, they are people. They are your daughters, your sons, your constituents, your friends. Statistically, 1 in 5 of your families will face this nightmare. The days of sweeping this under the rug are over. We, the survivors, say no more. I want to help create a world where survivors of sexual abuse and abuse of power can come forward safely. And I ask Congress to join me in that effort, not only by passing this bill, but by ensuring that those who step forward have legal support to face their abusers and see justice done. When Judge Berman gave Epstein survivors the chance to finally speak, the world listened. After so many years, survivors were heard. That moment was historic, and so is this moment. For me, the turning point was when I had my daughter, and on the day she was born, I knew I had a responsibility to protect her and to protect all children. I have to use my voice, the voice that had been silenced by fear and shame for so many years. Make no mistake, my polished exterior is a shield hiding a wound that still bleeds. But through this wound, I have found purpose. To be part of lasting change in how we confront exploitation and abuse. And to be clear, the only motive for opposing this bill would be to conceal wrongdoing. You have a choice. Stand with the truth, or with the lies that have protected predators for decades. I am no longer weak. I am no longer powerless. And I'm no longer alone. And with your vote, neither will the next generation be. President Trump, you have so much influence and power in this situation. Please use that influence and power to help us. Because we need it now, and this country needs it now. Thank you.
Hello. My name is Annie Farmer, and I was 16 years old when I was flown to New Mexico to spend a weekend with Epstein and Maxwell. That same year, 1996, my sister, Maria Farmer, reported what happened to me there, along with reporting her own assault at their hands and their theft of sensitive photos of herself, of me, and our younger sister that she had taken for her work as a figurative painter.
Great.
I am now 46 years old. 30 years later, we still do not know why that report wasn't properly investigated, or why Epstein and his associates were allowed to harm hundreds, if not thousands, of other girls and young women. We have never been told whether those images were found when they discovered a large amount of child sexual abuse material on his property. As a psychologist, I understand that when the systems meant to protect us recreate the abuse cycle, the betrayal that occurs can be just as damaging as the original trauma. This happens when survivors of these crimes are not believed, when our well-being is not weighed as heavily as those who have more resources or more privilege, and when perpetrators of these crimes are given a platform rather than the survivors of them. For so many years, it felt like Epstein's criminal behavior was an open secret. Not only did many others participate in the abuse, it is clear that many were aware of his interest in girls and very young women and chose to look the other way because it benefited them to do so. They wanted access to his circle and his money. Their choice to align with his power left those of us who had been harmed by this man and his associates feeling very isolated. I could never have imagined being here today and this chorus of support that we have all received. I have been sent so many notes and messages from people with no direct connection to this case who've expressed their solidarity with us. And I believe that is because, in part, as Anushka explained so well, this is an extremely widespread issue of child sexual abuse, of sexual exploitation, of sexual violence. This affects almost every family in some way. From my conversations with women in these last few days, and from all of the support that we've received, it's very clear to me that we are not going away, we are not going to be quiet, and we are not going to give up. And I ask the American public to stand with us and not give up. At a time with record high levels of distrust in our institutions and a perception that there are two Americas, one for those with power and privilege, and one for everyone else, passing this Epstein transparency bill is one important step that can be taken to prove to Americans that the government does not side with sexual perpetrators. A thorough public review of this information is an important step in preventing the type of systemic failures that have occurred in this case and harmed all of us. An important step towards healing for those involved. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. I'd like to say thank you, everyone, for being here today on this very powerful and special day for all of us here. My name is Marina Lacerda. I was minor victim 1 in federal indictment of Jeffrey Epstein in New York in 2019. I was one of dozens of girls that I personally know who were forced into Jeffrey's mansion on 9 East 71 Street in New York City when we were just kids. Today is the first time that I ever speak publicly about what happened to me. I never thought that I would find myself here. The only reason that I am here is because it feels like the people who matter in this country finally care about what we have to say. As an immigrant from Brazil, I feel empowered knowing that the little girl struggling to get by at 14 and 15 years old finally has a voice. For the first time, I feel like I matter as an American. I was only 14 years old when I met Jeffrey. It was the summer of high school. I was working 3 jobs to try to support my mom and my sister when a friend of mine in the neighborhood told me that I could make $300 to give an older guy a massage. It went from a dream job to the worst nightmare. Jeffrey assistant Leslie Groff would call me and tell me that I needed to be at the house so often that I ended up dropping out of high school before 9th grade. And I never went back. From 14 to 17 years old, I went and worked for Jeffrey instead of receiving an education. Every day I hoped that he would offer me a real job as one of his assistants or something important. I would finally have made it big, as, like we say, the American dream. That day never came. I had no way out. I was, until he finally told me that I was too old. There are many pieces of my story that I can't remember, no matter how hard I try. The constant state of wonder causes me so much fear and so much confusion. My therapist says that my brain is just trying to protect itself, but it's so hard to begin to heal knowing that there are people out there who know more about my abuse than I do. The worst part is that the government is still in possession right now of the documents and information about that could help me remember and get over all of this maybe and help me heal. They have documents with my name on them that were confiscated from Jeffrey Epstein's house and could help me put the pieces of my own life back together. But I don't have any of it. And I know the same is true for many of these women. We are here to support this bill today, not only for transparency, but for the American people. But if the government is going to release these documents to the public, describing the crimes committed by Jeffrey Epstein and others, the least that they can do is give me my documents that they have about me. The other survivors deserve the same respect from our government. While identifying information,
Y'all make sure y'all sub to the page. We're trying to get to 10,000 by the end of the month.
Victims themselves with unredacted information. I will never forget when the FBI agent showed up in my door in 2008. Jeffrey Epstein hired a lawyer to represent me, or more like to represent him, I'd like to say. I couldn't ask any questions, and I had no idea what was going on. I was terrified. Until today, I think most of us are still terrified.
At first I was
I thought somebody
afraid.
was going to kill me. I thought something was going to happen to my sister or my mother. It went further out to even maybe thinking something would happen in Brazil with my family. And then one day, the lawyer said that everything was just gonna go away. Like nothing happened. I didn't need to testify. When I asked him why, he gave no explanation. That was it. So why? Why was I never called to testify then? We could have saved so many women. We could have saved so many lives from being abused. Why did he get away with it in 2008? Why was he able to go on in the abuse with hundreds of girls after the Florida investigation? Why didn't they let me testify to help stop him? Our government could have saved so many women, but Jeffrey Epstein was too important and those women didn't matter. Why? Well, we matter now. We are here today, and we are speaking, and we are not going to stop speaking. Today, I stand here with the women who have really helped me to find the strength to come out and come forward to share my story for the very first time. Together, we are stronger than ever. While she may not be with us, Virginia Roberts, we will continue to use our voices to strengthen yours always. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Courtney Wild. I just wanted to take a second and just have a moment of silence for all the women survivors that aren't here with us today, that passed away due to anxiety, depression, trying to keep up with this case. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. My name is Courtney Wild. I was only 14 years old when I was introduced to Jeffrey Epstein by a 13-year-old friend of mine. The details of the abuse that he inflicted on me for years.
By a 13-year-old friend of mine.
In 2028, I was cooperating with the federal government in the investigation.
No, she didn't say government.
They sent me a letter telling me to be patient.
No, she didn't say federal government.
This was going to be a lengthy investigation, but at the same time, they refused to talk to me and tell me what was going on. So I hired an attorney, Brad Edwards, because I was hopeful to get some answers. When I walked into his office at 19 years old, Brad sued the government for refusing to tell me what was going on under the Crime Victims' Rights Act. The only reason anyone ever found out that the government had already given Jeffrey Epstein immunity through the non-prosecution agreement was because our lawsuit forced the government to tell us.
The government.
Otherwise, nobody would even know that today. Sometimes it's hard to believe that I had to sue the United States just to learn that my abuser was given immunity. I started as Jane Doe, but I decided I was proud enough to take on our country, and I was on the right side of history. We fought the government for 10 years to prove that the government violated our rights as crime victims and the crime victims' rights in order to protect a pedophile. We had to win the 11th Circuit Court Appeals to force the government to turn over thousands of pages of emails between Jeffrey Epstein and the government. Those emails provided the proof that the government worked very hard with Jeffrey Epstein to violate our rights. Why? Why did the government work so hard to protect Jeffrey and not so hard to protect me and my other innocent friends? Why was Jeffrey so important to the government, and why was I so insignificant? Why did nobody but our lawyers care before now? It seems people have only started to care because of Twitter and politics. But I would like to say this has nothing to do with politics. This is not a blue thing or a red thing. This is an everyone thing. We can all agree on this. The injustice that has happened here. Multiple, over and over. Everybody that talks about this just seems to make it worse. We need transparency. It's time for us to see beyond the curtain. Why was Jeffrey Epstein so protected? Who is still being protected? And who protected them all, so the world can understand how Jeffrey was able to abuse so many of us for so long. I was lucky to have Brad Edwards, Brittany Henderson, and Paul Cassell take on my case pro bono and fight fearlessly over 20 years' time.
Appreciate the subscription.
I would like to thank them, and I'd also like to ask the Trump administration to please sign off on the Crime
Hey, mods,
Victims'
appreciate
Rights
y'all
Reformed
for
Act,
keeping the
or
positive,
WILD,
mods.
Crime Victims' Rights Reformed Act that's we're trying to get passed here so we can close the loopholes in the CVRA case that Epstein's attorney used to their benefit to get away with this. Thank you so much.
Good morning. First and foremost, we want to extend our deepest gratitude to Brad and Brittany Edwards, Congressman Massey and Connor, and above all, the brave survivors who have entrusted us with the privilege of speaking today on behalf of Virginia. Robert Giuffre, as her family. We are here today because we support H.Res.581, the Epstein Files Transparency Act, in its entirety. But as much as this bill is about shining a light on truth, it's not just about the bill. This is about justice. This is about survivors. This is about justice against the rich and powerful who have stolen something from these women and many children at the time, their freedom. The freedom to live their life without mental and physical scars that have been inflicted upon them by those who thought they were untouchable. The same freedom that these monsters took from these survivors, they should never be afforded. They should never be allowed to continue their lives with impunity. Let's be clear, this is not a political issue. This is not about left or right. This is about humanity. This is about doing what's right. And this is about ensuring that the future we leave behind isn't one where the powerful can hide behind their wealth, their influence, and their money to evade justice. Our plea to you, whether you're a dad, a mom, a brother, or a sister, look your young ones in the face, look them in the eye, and tell them you didn't stand against the very people who raped, molested, and preyed upon children and young women. Tell them you were willing to negotiate a deal. Money should never be what makes something right or wrong. If you vote no, your stance will be clear. You will be choosing to stand on the side of the rich and powerful, allowing money to buy your way out of the consequence. But here's my one ask. Look these survivors in the eye and tell them why. Then, look the people of the United States in the eye and tell them why. And then, when you're alone, look yourself in the mirror and ask yourself why. Virginia said it best, and I quote, "I have physical and mental scars that will never heal. I have memories that will never go away. They say time can heal, but this won't. Not until the justice system makes an example out of these people with so-called privileges. I just call it money. The only time I can begin to heal is when their freedom is taken from them, just like they did to me and literally thousands of other victims. The survivors of this horrific abuse are watching. The American people are watching. And history is watching. Which side will you be on?" Thank you.
Hello, my name is Jenna Lisa Jones, and I was only 14 years old when my friend brought me over to Jeffrey Epstein's house in Palm Beach in 2003. I had a terrible home life, but I was such an innocent kid then. I always did my best in school, and I had such a positive outlook on life. Until that day that I met Jeffrey, I have never been more scared in my life than I was that first time that he hurt me. I remember crying the entire way home, thinking about how I couldn't ever tell anyone about what actually happened in that house. This guy was so rich and had so many pictures with so many famous people, and no one would have ever believed me if I told them. I want to thank Congressman Rowe and Congressman Thomas Massey for having me here today. It was really hard for me to find my voice and to become strong enough to speak about my abuse. I didn't come forward until 2019, and even then it was like I was afraid of a ghost. I know that I was just a little kid, but sometimes I still feel like it is my fault that this happened. Being given the opportunity to speak at the United States Capitol building about something that is so important, not just to me and the women before you, but to the entire country. Together, we can finally make a change. And that is thanks to the people like these two congressmen
and their teams who actually care about the victims. If you are a member of Congress and you are listening to all of us speak here today, please really listen to us. Please vote for this bill to be passed. Please recognize how important it is for transparency relating to Jeffrey Epstein. Whether you are a Democrat or a Republican, this does not matter. This is not about sides. You are an American and you are a person who has chosen to serve in an elected position to stand up for those you represent who cannot always stand up for themselves. We are those people. We are the Americans that you promised to protect. And we need your help. Please, President Trump, pass this bill and help us. Make us feel like our voices are finally being heard. Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Haley Robson. I was a 16-year-old high school student athlete who made good grades and had high aspirations for college when I was recruited and asked by a classmate of mine alongside with a 20-year-old male if I wanted to give an old rich guy a massage. But what high school girl would not want to do that? That day changed my life forever. And when I got into the massage room, Jeffrey Epstein...
Well, high school girl wouldn't want to do that.
Undressed and asked me to do things to him. My eyes welled up with tears, and I have never been more scared in my life. When it was over, he paid me $200 and requested in exchange that I bring a girl each time to make another $200. I told him I did not want to do that, and then he gave me an ultimatum. Either you come here and massage me when I call you, or you bring me friends of yours to massage, and I will give you $200 per girl for each time she comes. I felt and hoped to never hear from him again, but he called me every day. He was so wealthy and powerful, and he would not let me go. I felt I had no choice.
You was helping, you was bringing girls.
So knowing I did not want to be sexually abused
for $200 to $300.
I started to bring him other girls from my high school.
See?
And he paid me $200 for bringing them. I just hoped each time it would be the last time. One day, the stepmom of one of the girls brought him and called the police on Jeffrey Epstein.
They always bringing girls to Epstein for money.
Called me in for questioning. I had told them the
now they speaking out because they don't want to get fucking hit off. Now they saying help us because they don't want to get hit off. For all the years they was bringing money, they was bringing Epstein girls for money. Now they like, oh, we're victims, we're victims. You just stated that you was bringing other girls so he wouldn't do nothing to you.
So they told me I was going to be arrested. My name was then distributed to the press as a co-conspirator of my abuser, who I detested. My entire world was crashing in around me, and I started being threatened and bullied, till this day still receiving death threats. I was singled out and for many years had to suffer a smear campaign of lies about me because of the way that I was portrayed by the press. The press made me out to be a predator when I was just a 16-year-old little girl who was sexually abused by a powerful man and an evil man. For years, I had no friends. My boyfriend was murdered, and there was nowhere to turn. The government, after investigating more, learned that I was truly a victim, but the damage was done and it was too late. There was no way to undo the harm the press had caused me. In 2019, I met Brad Edwards and Brittany Henderson. They changed my life and they believed in me and have helped me to finally heal. Healing is a process, and I may never get there. But the passage of this bill requiring the government to produce all the evidence that it has gathered on Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell is a huge component of healing for me and for the many other women who have suffered for so long. For many reasons. First, we and the rest of the world need answers. Why was he so protected? And why didn't anyone ever care to stop him? It doesn't take a brain surgeon to know that if he is...
No, never. I would never say the 16-year-old should know better than the middle-aged man. That's why the Bible said anybody who, corrupts a child, punishment should be worse than Sodom and Gomorrah.
$1 million in cash a year. Was that not a big enough red flag? There were wire transfers to other victims, and the government did not protect us. The banks did not protect us. So lift the curtain on these files and be transparent. Every single time a new conspiracy gets circulated in the media, whether he is still alive, what powerful person had him murdered.
I didn't blame the
Who was on the
victim.
Epstein client list.
She literally
Our
just
names
said,
are
I
on
brought
TikTok and
him
Instagram.
other
We,
people.
the survivors,
She
are
said that.
suffering severely. We take our kids to school and everyone is talking about it. We can't read the news or do anything without hearing crazy stories that are only able to live on because the government continues to hide the evidence and the truth. So people just make up stories. Those stories hurt. They hurt real people.
So the victims that victimize other people, that don't count.
Truth and secrecy only allows
So
for
if she, let me get this straight. Let me get this straight. If so, basically, she's saying that Epstein and Maxwell, because Maxwell was the one that brought her, or the Maxwell was the lady who brought other people, right, to them, right, and the same thing could be said for Maxwell, is saying that she feared for her life, so she brought other people, right? She's saying the same thing, right? She's saying that she feared for her life, so she brought other people, right? So technically, to those other people, she's the person who, you know what I'm saying? She's the victimizer to the other people. No, she didn't say brought other people to be models. I know she wasn't 16. I'm saying the other ones, the ones that brought the people. She brought other people when she was older. Like this went on for how long? How long did this go on for? How long did you bring him people? How long did you, like this, like the people that she brought is looking at her as the monster. I don't have no dog in this fight. I'm talking about the people that she brought, the ones that she brought is looking at her like, you took me to this person. You should be punished too. That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
And fears, and will continue to lead to more pain, more suffering.
You don't think it's a victim out there who's saying like she should be punished too?
It's time you do is right by us. Unseal all the documents. We're requesting transparency. And I am requesting every congressman and woman that goes against this bill.
She's saying she don't remember the things she did.
I want to know.
She want to know the things she did. She want the stuff that she did released to her. That's what they all saying. They all use the ability of saying that they don't remember the things that they did, but they remember things happening to them. But they don't remember what they did, though.
Hi there, my name is Lisa Phillips, and I'm the host of a award-nominated podcast called From Now On, a platform supporting survivors. I want to thank all of my survivor sisters who came before me today. I'll be very short. In the year 2000, I was taken to Jeffrey Epstein's island while on a photo shoot on a nearby island. Who I saw and what I experienced there was a glimpse into a very dark and disturbing world. For years after, I tried to avoid Jeffrey, but he had introduced me to Katie Ford, the owner of the Ford modeling agency. Epstein's reach went to the very top of fashion, arts, and entertainment. This did not just happen to underage girls in Florida.
They should release the files, yes.
Hundreds of young
Everybody
ambitious
should.
women
Everybody's. I don't know. I ain't gonna speak on it no more because
he was an international human trafficker. And many around him knew, many participated, and many profited. And yet, he was protected. So I stand here today for every woman who has been silenced, exploited, and dismissed. We are not asking for pity. We are here demanding accountability, and I'm demanding justice. Congress must choose. Will you continue to protect predators, or will you finally protect survivors? And also, I would like to announce here today us Epstein survivors have been discussing creating our own list. We know the names. Many of us were abused by them. Now, together as survivors, we will confidentially compile the names we all know.
See, they say they putting their own names out there.
And who are regularly
They putting their own list out there.
And it will be done by
So
survivors.
we got to keep
and
track
for
of their
survivors.
list.
No one else is involved. Stay tuned for more details.
Hello, my name is Shantae Davies, and I'm here before you today as a survivor of decades of pain, trauma, and betrayal at the hands of Ghislaine Maxwell and Jeffrey Epstein, and the people who enabled them, and a government that for far too long refused to help. In 2002, I was living in California, a young woman with high aspirations of becoming an actress. I was already beginning to make a name for myself in the industry. A person I trusted, someone I thought was a friend, invited me to meet a powerful woman who could help advance my career. That woman happened to be Ghislaine Maxwell. I was asked to give her a massage, though I had almost no experience, and when I did, she praised me and promised introductions to someone enormously powerful, someone who could change the course of my life, and that man was Jeffrey Epstein. At first, I was an excited young woman on top of the world. Epstein flew me to his private island. He listened to my dreams, promised to help, but his promises came with a catch. The abuse began. He told me to keep it secret. He manipulated me with quid pro quo I did not consent to, but I felt I had no one to turn to. He was too powerful. I was just one of the many young women trapped in his orbit. I was even taken on a trip to Africa with former President Bill Clinton and other notable figures. In those moments, I realized how powerless I was. If I spoke out, who would believe me? Who would protect me? Epstein himself was the most powerful leader of our country. Epstein surrounded himself, with the most powerful leaders of our country and the world. He abused not only me, but countless others, and everyone seemed to look away. The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually. And while what I endured will haunt me forever, I live every day with PTSD. I live as a mother trying to raise my child while distrusting a world that has betrayed me. This kind of trauma never leaves you. It breaks families apart. It shapes the way we see everyone around us. But one thing is certain, unless we learn from this history, monsters like Epstein will rise again. There are files, government files, that hold the truth about Epstein, who he knew, who owed him, who protected him, and why he was allowed to operate for so long without consequence. Why was Maxwell the only one held accountable when so many others played a role? Why does the government hide this information from the public? This secrecy is not protection, it's complicity. And as long as the truth is buried, justice will remain out of reach. That is why this bill matters. Passing it will, bless you, ensure that the suffering of survivors is not in vain. Passing it will bring accountability, transparency, and prevention. It will help protect the next generation of predators who seek to place themselves above the law through wealth, influence, and connections. This is not just my story. It is about every survivor who carries invisible scars. It's about the weight we live with daily. It is about the families broken and the futures stolen. So I ask you, President Trump and members of Congress, why do we continue to cover up sexual abuse and assault? Who are we covering for? Let the public know the truth. We cannot heal without justice. We cannot protect the future if we refuse to confront the past. Thank you.
Right. The
Just,
next
give a round of
generation.
applause for all the courage and strength that they've
The next generation of them. Next generation of groomers and.
We now will take a few questions. You can always get Congressman Massey, me, or Congresswoman Green in the hallways and other places. If you have questions for us, that's fine. But I wanted to see first if you have questions for the lawyers and the survivors, and Brad will facilitate any of the questions to the survivors. Yes.
This question would be for the survivors as well. The president has said that this Epstein issue is a hoax, is the word that he used. Can we get more reactions to what when you hear him say that?
I'll answer that. Mr. President Donald J. Trump, I am a registered Republican, not that that matters because this is not political. However, I cordially invite you to the Capitol to meet me in person so you can understand this is not a hoax. We are real human beings. This is real trauma.
What does it feel like emotionally to you?
Devastating.
It's being gutted from the inside out. Not that I would know what that feels like, but I imagine it's the anxiety buildup with the depression and the survival mode, and then your nervous system goes limp and ironically is shot. And it feels like you just want to explode inside because nobody, again, is understanding that this is a real situation. These women are real. We're here in person. To say that it's a hoax is just not... Please humanize us. I would like Donald J. Trump and every person in America and around the world to humanize us, to see us for who we are and to hear us for what we have to say. There is no hoax. The abuse was real. Now, what goes on behind closed doors, I can't speak for that. What happens around the world politically, I cannot speak for that. But I am here with all of these women, including our attorneys, and I would be more than happy to meet with him, and I will meet him halfway.
Mr. Edwards, any of the victims could respond to the news from recently about Ghislaine Maxwell being transferred to a lower security prison in the aftermath of speaking to Todd White.
You want that one? About her transfer to
Oh, yeah.
I'm happy to speak to that. We were horrified to learn that she had been transferred to a prison camp. She is someone who was found guilty by a jury of sex trafficking. She not only, we often hear that she procured women for Jeffrey, which I think is a very sort of polite and minimizing term. She also participated in abuse. She was a major architect of the scheme. And the fact that she's painted herself as a victim, I think is disgusting. And it was horrifying, I think, to us that we were not told about her prison transfer. We found out about it in the news. 1 minute, I think Anushka maybe.
So, Anushka DeGiorgio, I testified alongside Annie at the trial of Ghislaine Maxwell. I was horrified when I found out not only had Ghislaine Maxwell been transferred to what's called a low security. It's really is like a holiday camp, and then afterwards I got a notification from the Department of Justice telling me that this was going to happen when it had already happened. This woman abused children. I was abused by Jeffrey Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell for over 10 years. Ghislaine Maxwell was present for some of my abuse at the hand of Jeffrey Epstein. She was present, she was complicit, she was enabling, and it is appalling and disgusting. And it's one of my worst nightmares that she not only be transferred, but at the possibility that's very much going around that she might be pardoned. This is not okay, guys. This is not okay.
And I just want to add that I think it sends a very dangerous message to our country, to the young people in our country, that someone that we all know is aware of these crimes could be given a pass.
And just for the last one, the last survivor who just spoke, she said that Epstein would brag about her relationship with Donald Trump. Could she please elaborate about that?
Shut it.
To the microphone. Get close. Yeah, I did say that. My first trip to the Palm Beach residence, I drove there from the airport with Ghislaine Maxwell, and Jeffrey and Ghislaine were always very boastful about their friends, their famous or powerful friends, and his biggest brag forever was that he was very good friends with Donald Trump. He had an 8x10 framed picture of him on his desk with the two of them. Like, they were very close.
Not the 8x10.
Go ahead.
Not the 8x10.
One second.
For this practice that these ladies are putting together, you said it would be confidential, but will the public, could you clarify, will the public get to see about these?
So Lisa, what's your envision here?
Is it going to go to the public or just amongst the survivors?
No, we're reaching out to survivors that are scared.
So come on.
We're reaching out to survivors that are scared to come forward and that also know who they were trafficked to. So that's the list that we're compiling. We're not quite sure, how we're going to release that, or even if we're going to. The Department of Justice needs to release the list.
Right,
Yes.
for folks at home, they might be confused, the survivors know the names, you've seen these powerful people. Why can't you say the names? Could you just explain?
Why do we have to say the names when the government knows the names? And we're also scared to do so. Look what's happened to so many of the survivors that have revealed names.
Yeah, I find it
I think it's also worth saying that having represented, I think, between our firm and Boyce Schiller, hundreds of victims, and we've talked to them about the various people that they were farmed out to. So we've created somewhat of a list. Most of these individuals, the victims, are very scared to say these names because they could get sued, they're going to get attacked, and nobody protected them the first time. And that was against one person. So is there a list? There is a list, but just to dispel kind of the common theme here, every one of these women was abused by Jeffrey Epstein, and his scheme was to personally abuse women. When they reached a certain age, he did farm a section of them, some of them, out to some of his friends. That doesn't mean all of his friends. With that said, I'm more than happy to assist in helping create the list behind the scenes and see what we do with it.
But if someone's interested,
Go ahead.
Hold on. I think if someone's interested in prosecuting, they may have something different to say about sharing a list. But they're not sharing a list for nothing to happen, and that's the experience that they've had for all of these years.
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you, Al. We're waiting to see the fate of this discharge petition right now as we hear. The speaker and others have said that the people he met with yesterday had concerns about your names being released if this bill were passed. And some people I talked to today are not signing the discharge petition because they say you don't want them to. Can you clarify if that is
Do any of the survivors here not want the bill to pass?
First of all, our legislation, Ro Khanna and I went through this, we talked about this, and we were very careful to make sure that there is an exception so that personally identifiable information, not just their names, but anything they could be identified by, would not be disclosed.
And can you speak to that as survivors yourself? Just
But I think all of them are on the same page. They want everything released. Yes, they unequivocally redact personally identifying information and release everything else. Okay. Uh-oh. Yeah, sure.
This is the first time you have never before gone public with your story and to share this. Can you help us understand why today, why now, and why here?
Well, it is not okay for us to be silenced, and it's not okay for Jeffrey Epstein and everybody else to be put on a pedestal. I think everybody needs to hear from us because we know what went on, right? And there is not only me who's been silenced, there are hundreds of women that are silenced. My hope is to stop this abuse for the future, right? For people that are coming up, for women. My daughter, for example, these women have daughters. They most definitely don't want that anymore. And I think mainly this is therapy for all of us too. We want to be heard. Nobody also has never asked me to speak. That's also another thing. So I can say for all of us here, we are here. We want this bill to pass. It is very important. Okay, and we need transparency. We are tired of looking at the news and seeing Jeffrey Epstein's name and saying that this is a hoax. We are tired of it. We are done. We're not going to be silenced, and I hope that my voice will bring others.
Right, Trump wasn't involved. That's why they asking Trump to pass the bill.
More of a stronger voice.
You can't ask the person to pass the bill that was involved. You asking Trump to pass the bill because you know he wasn't involved.
I don't want to send a direct message to him. I'm already scared enough. Yeah, just pass the vote. Listen to us. This is not a hoax. Like, it's not going to go away. And like I said on my speech earlier, we're not gonna be silenced anymore. We will be speaking, moving forward, wherever we need to be. We will be, and we need to pass this.
Go ahead.
Thank you, sir. George Conrad, Gateway Pundit. You know, for years we've heard that there's an Epstein client list, some kind of list. Now we hear from DOJ that there's no list. What about all the victims? What do you guys think? I know you're working on your own list, but do you believe that Jeffrey Epstein had a list?
Yeah, so there's not a list.
Yeah.
So here's what it was. Just like you heard everybody today, Jeffrey Epstein created through an organization that of enablers, of people that were on his payroll. It was a complicated scheme where others should still be investigated because they helped to enable him and operate this scheme. Without those people, he could not have done this. But the purpose was for him to personally abuse people. With that being said, certain of his friends, he farmed out certain of the women that he was exploiting too. But that wasn't the primary purpose of that scheme. And I don't think he wrote the names of those people down. There's not a list of, hey, here's all of the people that I sent females to. That's just not how that organization works. Agreed?
Is there any evidence that Jeffrey Epstein was involved with or tied to the CIA or a foreign intelligence operation?
I think that the safest thing for me to say is all files should come out, whether it is for this with the CIA, FinCEN, SEC, FBI. I'm not just making these up haphazardly. I'm giving you a roadmap where to look. Go ahead. I'll go first and then I'll let them. They're much more important than me, but I don't understand why it's a hostile act. I can tell you that I talked to President Trump back in 2009, and several times after that, he didn't think that it was a hoax then. In fact, he helped me. He got on the phone. He told me things that were helping our investigation. Now, our investigation wasn't looking into him, but he was helping us then. He didn't treat this as a hoax. So at this point in time, I would hope that he would revert back to what he was saying to get elected, which is, I want transparency. This about face that occurred, none of us understand it. In fact, I don't understand how this is an issue that's even up for debate. How do you not stand behind these women after you've heard their stories and know that hundreds of them were abused, and it was only because files are being kept in secrecy? The world should know who he is, who protected him, and the other people that are out there to be investigated need to be investigated. Good.
People who are currently serving in government, who are named, who you know of, are in these files, who you had relations with, anything of that sort, who Jeffrey Epstein connected you with? Are you willing to say yes or no?
I don't think I can answer. Sorry.
I think she's referring to my speech.
Hi, Anushka DeGiorgio. I have been threatened. I was threatened by phone. My daughter was threatened when I was volunteering to participate in, by means of being a witness in a civil lawsuit that Virginia Giuffre was bringing against Ghislaine Maxwell. I have been followed. I have been stalked. I have been followed not only by journalists, but by people who do not get out of the car and do not try and talk to me and just drive behind me as I drive my daughter to school. So the fear is very real for us. I have also been in
you mean like gang stalking? You mean like cyberbullying?
Where they have been
shit, regular people. Never mind. They're victims. They're victims. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
That if I was to talk,
let's just get the truth out there. That's all we want. The truth.
Then there would be severe consequence, including death.
Just to add to that, Maxwell also threatened my sister Maria Farmer. When the FBI did nothing about her initial report, we did. She reported individually at that time, and then in 2002, we spoke to a reporter at Vanity Fair, telling our stories, fearful that perhaps other people were being harmed. We were not. We believed that was going to make a difference. We believed that would be put in print, and that story was crushed. And it was because of their power, and the message that we got from that was direct threats from Maxwell to my sister about her well-being and her safety and that of our family. So I think many people have similar stories of threats. That has been a very real part of this case.
Go ahead, over here.
Epstein's alleged financial investigation? No.
No.
Nope.
Do you want to address that?
I just want to say, one thing that's very clear, when people say, please share names, there are names that are very well known, like that of Les Wexner, who everyone knows supplied an enormous amount of Epstein's financial wealth and allowed this operation to happen. So it's, I think, confusing to many of us why there have not been more ramifications for him, and he's been seen as a victim when clearly, I believe there's more to it.
But, yeah.
You represented Virginia Roberts for the 13 years. She actually had to recant the allegations that she made against Alan Dershowitz. She alleged that
Don't answer, we're not talking. All right, next question.
Next question.
Thank you.
Who's next?
Why is it that she should be...
Yeah, no, we're not answering your question. Anybody else?
Go ahead.
How did the victims feel about the interview that was given to Elaine Maxwell?
Am I trying to say something?
That's better. Okay, ma'am, I think that you had a question.
When you talk in the past, about the existence of the Epstein birthday book, have you yourself in the course of litigation seen it?
I don't know that we're able to reveal what we've seen and what we have not seen by way of protective order, but my point being in that circumstance was, if anybody wants answers, there's an easy place to get it. I told you where to get it. I said, the estate of Jeffrey Epstein has it, serve a subpoena on them, they'll turn it over. And if we had served a subpoena on them in the past, they would have turned it over and we would have seen it, which I don't usually miss subpoenas like that. So there we go.
Can you elaborate?
Go ahead.
I need to say one thing on that. To your question about the allegations, there's a simple answer. Release the files. Let the American public decide. Instead of harassing, I gave you your say. Look.
You're hired by Dershowitz.
You've been heard, and even Alan Dershowitz says to release the files. Release the files. That is the answer, and that's what we're here for. That is the.
Sir. Yeah.
Help in 2009. Can you elaborate on your interactions with Donald Trump back in 2009? And for any of the victims, they didn't ever see the president, well then not president yet, but they didn't ever see Trump with Epstein in any way.
I don't know who's. I don't think that we can answer that question. Did anybody see Trump with Epstein back then? This is really not a political thing. We want the passage of the bill, and this is not to call out President Trump. My point was that he was friendly back then, did not think that it was a hoax, and was trying to help. And now it seems like all of a sudden somebody's in his ear and he's not. So I'm hoping he'll come back to where he was back in 2009, be on the side of the victims and stand with us.
On the passage of the bill.
Go ahead. Do you want to answer? Teresa will step up.
Teresa J. Home. Happy to speak on that because what I will say is she got this airtime and platform. Her voice was elevated way before our voices were elevated here today. And that same calm, manipulative voice that she had so polite there that day with Todd Blanche was the same polite, coercive, manipulative voice that I heard as she was grooming me to then send me off to the home of Jeffrey Epstein where he would assault me. So that's what she was doing for hours, speaking with me, building relationship with me, building trust with me, allowing me to believe that I was going to get this job, a dream job that I had been recruited from my college, flown across the country from Los Angeles to New York City to interview, so I thought. So her voice that day was the same voice that sent me off to a monster. So nothing can be believed from what she says because she's been
charged with perjury, I myself could sit there and listen, and as I did, I sat there and listened to this woman's voice lie. And there was no pushback from Todd Blanche, because does he even have the facts to be able to push back on her? We could sit there and push back. Why didn't we get to attend that? Why weren't we there that day? Or why wasn't even one of us consulted prior to that day in that meeting? And why on earth has she been moved from Florida to her, it basically is prison spa. I mean, you know, let's be real. None of us were consulted. I found out, just like everyone here found out, through the media, through all of you. We found out about Ghislaine's transfer. So I'm very angry to sit there and listen. The feelings that come up listening to this woman's voice is repulsive. Yes, I would say it's triggering. We all work very hard on healing, and it still gets to us after 2 decades. It's a very long answer, but it's repulsive to sit there and listen to her voice in her interview.
Can we take two more questions? One over here.
Directly led to $100 million payment from JP Morgan to the Virgin Islands. When you go after the DOJ, FBI, because they're sitting on evidence, I've held the evidence in my hands.
I think that there's nobody that's immune from us going after them if there's a legitimate action to take. So to the extent that evidence exists, then show it to us, and we'll help in every way we can. We stand with the victims. Okay. One more.
Speak to speaking of being threatened and being afraid to come forward with the story to the case of Katie Johnson, who alleged that Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein.
I don't think we can talk about. I don't think we can talk about that case. I do think it's worth saying, though, despite the comments that he made, Virginia Roberts Giuffre is an American hero. She is somebody without whom we would not be able to have this voice. She was the one who had courage to name names, speak out against people, and she was standing up against everybody at one time with an enormous amount of pressure.
And most of these women are here because of Virginia Roberts Giuffre. So.
All right, last one.
Clearly not us.
I don't think that anybody knows, but I can tell you that in the oversight committee meeting yesterday, they indicated that they were all for transparency, releasing the files, and asked us to hold them accountable. Is that right?
Yes.
They said hold them accountable, so we intend to hold them accountable.
That's up to them.
We're going to show them where to go with it, and as long as they're doing their job, they should. I'm going to turn it back over to Bill Connor. Thank you.
Let me just say this. Let me say this. I think the people back who are testifying here today or speaking up today, they are American heroes. Let's give them another round of applause. And you say, look, Thomas, Marjorie, and I, we're huge believers in the First Amendment, and we believe in free speech, and we take abuse all the time. But you see why it's so hard to do what they have done, because they come forward and you subject yourself to national scrutiny and national questioning. And I just want to say from the bottom of my heart how appreciative I am and how proud I am of what you've done today. You made a big difference. Before I bring on Marjorie, and then Thomas will have the last word, I want to summarize 3 basic things that I heard from the survivors. First, they want to know why our government covered up for someone rich and powerful. Why is it that we have 2 Americas? People say, why do you need to release the Epstein files if Epstein is dead and Maxwell's in jail? Because we don't know who all was involved in the cover-up. Why are there rich and powerful people who didn't have justice? They want to know that. Second, many said it's important for their own closure. They don't know their own abuse. They want to understand what's in these files.
Closure's important. Closure's important.
And third, we heard that there are many others who obviously were involved. And they want to know, and the American people deserve to know what was there in those files. I actually think they're helping
us come together as a country. I've never done a press conference with Marjorie Taylor Greene before. I've done some with Tusk, but look, this country is divided and exhausted. This is one thing that we can come together on. Yeah. And I was very clear with Thomas. This is not against President Trump. I would like nothing more than a Truth Social post for him after this press conference saying, just release the files. Be with Nancy Khanna. This is about something much deeper. It is about bringing
worldwide, worldwide.
For America's kids, to restore trust.
This is
to move this
by this example measure, we can, launch a level of you know what I'm saying, dignity that says that we're not going to allow our kids to be victimized like this. That we stand for our youth, right? So this is very important.
These women's shoes. As you're questioning, why can't they just name the names? What you don't realize is they just told their stories of being raped and being abused, being victimized, being manipulated, being coerced, and
fix your cities
held
first.
In a prison of captivity, of sexual abuse, while they were young teenagers and extremely young, vulnerable women. And in Jeffrey Epstein's home and the places they went with him, they saw the most powerful people in the world in his pictures, and they saw him with those people. Can you imagine how terrifying it would be to name names like that? These are some of the richest, most powerful people in the world that could sue these women into poverty and homelessness. Yeah.
Look at this one. She's still shaking and scared.
I will tell you.
The one right there in the green, she's just still shaking and scared.
And so if they want to give me a list,
she's been shaking the whole time.
On the House floor, and I'll say every damn name that abused these women. I can do that for them, and I'd be proud to do it. Now, another thing, this is not about politics, and this is a boiling point in American history where the American people, just like Roe just said,
they coming for that money.
Two Americas. There's the America for the rich and the powerful and the elite, where they never face any struggles or problems and never experience what real America goes through. And then there's forgotten America that faces all the problems and deals with all the issues and never gets justice for being sexually assaulted and raped by a monster. It shouldn't exist anymore, and people are sick of it.
Whoa.
So let's recognize
it's hard to get justice when the person is not here anymore. He's gone. Or allegedly.
And the one before it and before it never did anything about this. So
Trump.
This isn't one political party or the other.
They need you,
it's
Trump.
A combination of everyone work together to silence these women and protect Jeffrey Epstein and his cabal.
Ooh.
And this is not just rich, powerful people. Think his drivers, his maids, his chefs, all the people, people that worked in his home, security guards. I heard one story from a young woman that was being
Where's that beautiful beam footage?
When he was out on work release while he was serving time in prison
and
had an ankle monitor on his leg. Guess what? There was a police officer outside.
Ankle monitor didn't stop him from.
So this list of names is quite a list of names, and it doesn't extend just in the rich, powerful circles. It extends down to the very bottom, where people were paid. And again, I will say this: there's victims suffering today in similar circumstances, and they're terrified to name the names of the people that are currently abusing them. And so, with these brave, courageous women fighting this fight. This is a fight for women and children and any person that is facing sexual abuse and rape and captivity and human trafficking right now. And so here's what I ask you in the press. Don't go for salacious headlines. Go for the truth and defend these women. And help those of us in Congress that are crossing our political party lines for doing the right thing and trying to do it together. And thank you, Roe, and thank you, Thomas. And now I recognize Thomas Massey from Kentucky.
Well, there's 3 branches of government, and we're supposed to keep each other accountable. And that's what we're doing here today in the People's House. We're standing in front of the People's House with real people, not a hoax. And they've told their story. We wanted to give them a platform to speak, and they've had it. They stepped up, and they were brave.
Y'all go make sure y'all check out some of the shorts that I just put up.
To join this
Go check out the shorts that I just put up, please.
But I found out something today that happened that I wasn't expecting.
Hey, let's rock these numbers.
Harder. I'm not going to give up.
Hey, let's rock these numbers. Let's rock these numbers. You know, love is love. Namaste, ashe, salutation, shalom, peace. If nobody told you that they love you today, let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you. And we will be bringing you everything. Every morning, we're going to try to bring you anything that might be of importance that's of the world, right? We don't want to focus on just us because we know that it's more important that we focus on the world, right? We need help in the world, right? We want the world to be at peace. So if we just focus on America, y'all going to say y'all only worried about y'all, right? We're not just worried about us, right? So let me be the first but not the last to tell you that I love you, right? You are important. We need more love in the world. We need more spaces where people can have open minds, right? I hope you guys hit the like button. I hope you guys hit that button. I hope you guys are liking the live, right? And I just want to tell you that, you know, we are winning, okay? Positive is winning, okay? Be of positive. Matter of fact, let's close this out with a nice little song. Just be of positive, okay? That's who we want you guys to be. Remember positive. Remember who you really are. Remember kindness rules your air, right? Remember positivity rules your air, right? Remember love, laughter. All right? Hey, this is the moment. Spam emojis in the comment section. Find a loving emoji and put it in the comment section. Hey, replay gang, appreciate you always. Mods, you guys know you're the best. Shout out to all the mods. We'll try to get a good time down. That way everybody can be here for the live. In the meantime, in between time, love is love. Here's your moment for emojis. This is your moment. All the bots in here, this is your moment for emojis. Was your heart ever my home? So cold that chaos sits on your throne. Huh? Stuck in a loop for how long? Talk to him. When I speak, you say you're listening. When will you ever hear me? Love is love, love is love. I hope to see some of y'all join the Discord. We got a new space, a new place, love and light. That's all we want to operate on is love and light. Let hate begot hate. If you of love, be of love. Thank you for the doo-doo emojis. Appreciate it. I know I'm the shit, and you could be the shit too. Believe in yourself. Join the Discord of love. Know the operation of this world. It's love. The operation of love is simple. All you have to do is be understanding. I understand you. Why can't you understand me? got to do is understand each other, man. That's all we
Hey,
got
Ohio
to do.
State.
That's all we got to do. Let's listen to this
And
closing.
I want to end with this
Let's
call
listen to this
action.
closing.
First, a call to action to my colleagues who, just an hour before this press conference, were prepared. They were given a fig leaf. We'll put a resolution on the floor so that you can say that you voted to protect the survivors. The resolution doesn't really do anything. And that's the oldest trick in the swamp. When you want to kill the momentum, when you want to kill initiative, you introduce a placebo, a different bill that does nothing, and then try to pull the wool over the eyes of the American people. That's not going to happen this time. We demand real accountability. I encourage my colleagues, please, there's over 200 Republicans who have not signed this discharge petition. We only need 2 of them to sign it, and every Democrat will sign it, and that will get us the number we need to force this vote, to pass a law, not a polite request to the DOJ to police themselves. No, we need legally binding legislation to force that to happen. And my main call to action is to the people watching these live feeds that are going through these cameras right now. Congressmen, listen to you. Light up their phones. Burn down the phone lines here in Washington, D.C. Ask them the questions that these survivors wanted you to ask them. Why won't you be for transparency? Don't accept their answer that the bill has a flaw or that the survivors don't want it. We know that's not true. They wouldn't be fighting it so hard in this town if it wasn't the real bill. So with that, please call your congressman. Tell him or her to get on this bill and to stand up for these survivors. Thank you and God bless. That's the end.
So they're going to put their own list out. We have so much more coming out in the news right now. We have meetings taking place as we speak. The president is scheduled to do another announcement today. So we'll be listening for that announcement, and we'll bring you that as soon as we get updated on that. Look, man, love is love. All we want to do is stand in truth and stand in light. And if you stand in truth and stand in light, then the world should become more peaceful. All right? It should become more peaceful. And, you know, in the words of, you know, Jerry Springer, my final words would be, you know, be kind to yourself and each other.